going live again today. I was actually gonna start shooting another video, but I'm gonna spend some of this time doing writing to prepare because I have a couple of I gotta write and plan for the rest of the videos for the last bit of the year because I like planning all this stuff ahead. Because the best kind of videos take a little bit of time, but I didn't want to wait because I realized that the live I did was a couple days ago, and I didn't realize that my last video was like almost 2 weeks ago, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's been so long. So I'm gonna take some time and answer old questions that were actually pretty big on my other videos so that I could help you guys out and then answer questions live. So hey, welcome, glad to have you here. Let me know where you're tuning in from. What's up, viewer? Let me know where you're tuning in from, bro. I got the live chat, so I'm answering questions. So if you got any questions, just pop them down in the bottom. I had some pretty big questions that people asked me on the channel, so I'm actually going to go through some of those. Response status, so I responded. Because there were a couple ones that were actually like really freaking good, and I was like, dang, man. Ooh, so good. So if you guys have any questions on like using Neville Goddard's processes for manifesting stuff like relationships and money, you can drop them down below. One thing that's actually really important that I think oftentimes actually gets left out of the conversation for this time, I'm going to talk about money because I haven't talked about it too much on the channel. But for manifesting money, one of the things that's really important, and welcome new people who just joined in. One of the things that's really important is, it's weird because you have to be very clear on what you actually want the money for. And you don't tell people that you're in the process of manifesting the thing, especially if the people are not well versed in the process, because they're not really going to understand it. It's not going to make sense to them. And it's funny because this makes a lot of sense being somebody who comes from the marketing world, because it's kind of like well known in marketing where when you talk about Trump or Kamala, to be honest, neither. If we're talking about like manifesting wise, Trump is an amazing manifester. I'll have to say that. Regardless of what you want to say about the man's politics and who he is as a person, the man knows how to use his language. When we talk about the unhinged method, he knows how to do it to a T. That man speaks the language of everything that he wants to create in his life. What's up, Tommy? So tell us about your manifest. Oh, I could talk about my manifestations. Most recent one was this YouTube channel. I always wanted to have a YouTube channel. I always wanted to have an outlet where I could talk about this stuff because I've known about esoteric stuff for freaking years. Literally 12 years. Actually, it's been over 12 years. I say it in the videos like 12 years. It's been like 13. Maybe a little bit longer because I've been studying this since I was in high school. I was a kid studying this stuff. And I first started like, ooh, well, there go the lights. I gotta wave my hands. You gotta remind me to wave my hands. I first started studying this. I first started studying this stuff once I started realizing that I wanted to manifest ladies in my life. So I started studying stuff like pickup. And once I started getting into pickup, that's when I started moving into stuff like neuro-linguistic programming, hypnosis, because I wanted to use language in a way that made sense. And I always had a love of religions. Like I always studied a lot of different religions. So I got deep into Christian apologetics. I started getting into mysticism. And over time, that kind of led me into studying self-improvement. So I started studying like Joseph Murphy, Jack Canfield was Joseph Murphy, Tony Robbins. The big one in the self-help field was Jack Canfield. I remember the book. One of my first things that I know for a fact I manifested, like I was manifesting consciously, was when I manifested getting accepted into every university that I applied to. I I applied to about, what was it, 7 universities. I applied and I got into all of them. And I ended up going to the University of Miami. And I did it, and I did it every morning. What I would do is I would listen to Jack Canfield's Success Principles, and I would go out on runs like super early in the morning, like 5 or 6 a.m. And I would get up, I would get out of my dad's place, I would go running around the neighborhood, and I'd be listening to Jack Canfield's Success Principles. And in that book, they talked about visualizing, like seeing yourself in possession of the thing that you want. So what I would do is I would run, and in my mind I would look at each individual letter as they would come in of acceptance, like, hey, you got accepted to this university, you got accepted to this university, you got accepted to this university. And I would do that, working myself up into a super powerful state, and I would do that every single morning. Sure enough, every single one of those letters came in. They were all acceptance letters. So that was a lot of fun. That was really cool. That was probably one of my first ones. That was one of my first big ones. Most recent one was the start of the YouTube channel, where I wanted to always have an outlet where I could talk about this stuff and just have conversations with people and like have them listen to stuff on manifesting. And it works real well. Now, cool thing about it was I got the YouTube channel monetized in about 19 days, and I have friends who've literally spent years trying to get their stuff monetized, and they're nowhere near it. I got it done in 19 days. So I manifested the YouTube channel getting monetized in a very short period of time. One video was basically all it took for me to get to the monetization. And everybody just kept asking me about coaching. I was like, fine, I'll put together a coaching offer. My main work is working as a marketing consultant, but I was like, okay, I can put together an offer and do something for people who want coaching on manifesting, for business and for relationships. So I opened that up on September 20th, and then I started, my first bookings came in that week. So between September 20th and October, like near the end of October, I cleared over $10,000 with the YouTube channel. This YouTube channel you guys are watching. So I'm not even over 4,000 subscribers. And I was already having a conversation with a good friend of mine. I'm about to close another couple pretty big deals. So I got some more cash coming in. So we're looking at a bigger month than last month, to say the least, for the YouTube channel. So let's see what people have been saying. Oh, my bad. I didn't mean to miss your greeting, Angel. What's up? I don't speak Russian. So, my bad. Actually, yeah. So the live is about, I'm going to be answering, it's Q&A. So answering questions on like Neville Goddard's processes for manifesting money and relationships. You have a good looking caveman here. Well, thank you. Appreciate it. I'm very caveman. I have to trim down the beard. I know I'm going for the sage look with it, but I definitely need to do stuff. Right now, the hair's kind of messy because I just have it tossed around for today. Love this content. Do you recommend meditation? So, Idro Peso. So, I love the content. Do you recommend meditation for focus and calming the mind to manifest? Drove myself crazy earlier this year trying to manifest and mindlessly affirming. I think meditation is probably one of the most important portions of the process that's usually missing from people's like day-to-day process when they're trying to manifest. Personally, for me, I have used meditation as one of the core cornerstones of the work that I do, and I recommend it to all my clients because it's like the base for creating stuff in your life. If you think of the life or everything outside of you as a reflection of your own consciousness, of your own mind. If you do not like certain aspects of your life, if you just keep thinking about it and feeling the emotions that are tied to it, you're going to continue the reflective process of bringing that back up. Because what you'll usually do on a day-to-day basis is if you don't like something and it's something that's very big in your life, you're going to have the manifestation of it. Like you're going to have a conversation with somebody about it. Let's say it's related to like a relationship where you don't have a relationship with somebody. You're going to feel lonely. You're going to look at your phone and not see the person message you. You're going to go on Instagram and all that stuff, and you're not going to feel happy. And by looking at that stuff around you, you're going to feel unhappy. And by feeling unhappy, you give yourself more reasons to feel unhappy because that stuff's going to keep manifesting. And it becomes like a vicious cycle where you feel a certain way because of something that happened outside. And now because you had that feeling and those thoughts and you're ruminating on those feelings and thoughts, you end up creating it again later on. So it ends up becoming a self-fulfilling prophecy because you're spending so much time paying attention to your current reality. When you meditate, you take your attention away from whatever's going on in the physical situation and you gain access to change the way that you think, what you imagine, and what you feel. So with meditation, instead of immediately going to start thinking about exactly what you want and putting out a clear signal of what you want, you take the time to actually clear the slate and relax and clear your mind, where you allow your feelings to naturally go back to like homeostasis. You actually feel good. You don't have to do anything. You just focus on the breath with the eyes closed and you allow the body to just be. And the better you get at the better you get at meditating, the easier it is for you to understand that you have full control over what you think about, what you imagine, and what you feel. So if you focus in on your breath, there is no reason for you to feel angry because you're just breathing. I've never heard anybody get angry at their breath. I've never heard of that. So if you're angry, it helps relax you and bring you down to a neutral state. If you're sad, it takes you from the sadness because it's very hard to be sad if the only thing you're focusing on is... And as you do that, the attention typically starts like going towards everything else that should like pull your attention away. But as you take your attention back from whatever was taking it away, you bring it back to the breath, back into the moment in your present awareness, you begin to feel better for no reason. You don't need a reason to feel better other than the meditation. And when you gain access to the better feelings, things start shifting and changing in your life. You feel better, and once you get into a better feeling state, it's much easier for you to do stuff like visualize, to affirm, to focus. All those other methods that people talk about manifesting become far easier because now you're working from like a clean slate. It's kind of like writing or painting. It's like painting. What you're doing when you're meditating is you're clearing off your entire desk. You're setting down the canvas, you're cleaning off the canvas, and you're getting ready to paint. When you have the space clean and ready, it's much easier for you to actually paint what you want on the canvas. Same thing goes for manifesting. It's the same process. You want to clean the slate with meditation so you have the ability to paint clearly. You don't have clutter all over the place where it's getting in the way, where you have a book in a bunch of cups like Asmongold's Asmongold's house with all the cups everywhere, all the trash. You don't want that. You want to make it as easy as possible. So I really do recommend that people meditate. If you want recommendations for meditations that I personally do and I recommend for other people, you want something super simple and super quick, just do Abraham Hicks, any of the 3 main Abraham Hicks meditations, which are for financial well-being, general well-being, health, and it's 4, my bad. Financial well-being, health, relationships, and general well-being. Those are the 4 that you'll find them. If you just search up Abraham Hicks meditation, you're gonna find one of them. The ones that are correct are the ones that are about 15 minutes. It's a 15-minute meditation. It'll walk you through. You just listen to it. It's a guided meditation where you're focusing on your breath, and that's it. You hear Esther Hicks go through talking each of the points, and then you feel better at the end of the 15 minutes. And the more you do it, the easier it becomes to get back into that state of relaxation. So if you want something that's simple, quick, that. If you want something that's more scientific, it's to the point, and it's an entire process where you're progressively getting better and better, search up the Gateway Experience by the Monroe Institute. If you just search up Gateway Wave 1, just go through each of the waves. And if you want to learn more about that one, you can check out the CIA. Actually, I'll send it out to people. If you join the newsletter, you go to any of the videos where it talks about the newsletter, join the newsletter. I'll send an email out with the Gateway Experience links. I need a haircut. Oh, thanks. Yeah. Trump does definitely do well with that. Well, actually, no, that isn't true. Trump and any other person, they do take advice. Whenever you have somebody who's extremely successful, they have advisors around them all the time. That's why they have cabinets of people, because people who are successful, whether they're business owners, they're politicians, or any person in a high level that operates at a very high level, even kings, they always have groups of advisors because they fully understand that they cannot be well versed in every area. They do not have the time to do that. They have to make decisions. And the way that you make the best decisions is by getting the best information. And the only way that you can get the best information is by surrounding yourself with the best people. And the reason why you bring the best people around you is because they have already dedicated months and years to studying under masters, reading the books, going to lectures, and learning all of this stuff. So you don't have to use all the time. You just ask them for their opinion and their information, and then you make decisions based on that. And that's what business owners do. If you ever watch Shark Tank, that's the whole point of like Shark Tank, when they're having those conversations with the sharks, whether it's Damon John, Mark Cuban, or Mr. Wonderful, or any of those people, what they're actually doing is they're like, hey, give me money. But a lot of the time, some of the deciding factors about whether or not they go with a certain shark is that person's expertise, their network, their network, and of course the nature of the deal as well. But that's what ultimately gets the person to say yes. Like if somebody has a product that's like a made for TV one, people typically go with Lori because she's somebody who can get their products in the QVC and those infomercials, and that makes sense for those types of products. Even though other people may be offering money, she has the benefit of all the experience of running stuff on QVC, of making, seven-figure to eight-figure brands using QVC. So it makes sense for somebody to partner with her because they don't have to learn all the stuff. If they work with her, she's going to use all of her knowledge and all of her networking to get their deals into the right hands, into the right places, and she understands the nature of each deal. I was watching a clip of what was it? The Wall RX guy, who's like a wall hole. He was a hole. It was a hole in the wall repair kit that he was selling, and I was like, oh, that's perfect for QVC. And it was Lori and I forgot the other dude's name. Those were the two sharks that he was trying to get a deal going with. But he really wanted to work with Lori because she had the distribution that made sense, because she already had the experience doing it. You almost look like Jumanji between the hair and the clothes. Yeah. How old am I? I am 30 years old. What's up, baby mom? Welcome back, man. Hello everybody. People get addicted to what's common. Yeah, they really do. Yeah. People get it's funny because people get addicted to being themselves, which is probably one of the most dangerous addictions that you could possibly have. One of the most difficult things one of the most difficult things for like me or any other coach to do is to just get people to do something different. People are so addicted to living the way that they have lived before and doing things the way that they've lived before, that they just get stuck in their old patterns. Like they refuse to change. Not my clients most of the time. And that's part of the reason why certain people like have high thresholds for one-to-one work or like high ticket stuff. It's because you want to weed out people who aren't willing to make changes. Once you get people who are willing to make changes, it's very easy to get them to get results in their lives. Whether they're trying to make more money, or they're trying to get the certain type of relationship, or they're trying to get their health. If they're like at the wit's end and they're like, I'm ready to do whatever and do whatever it takes to make a change, those people are like the best clients, because they're like, I don't care what I have to give up and what I have to stop doing. I want that result in my life, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to get that. And that mindset is what it takes for people to make quantum leaps in their lives. When I first wanted to start making, it wasn't even $10,000 a month. It was like, I think my goal was like $3,000 a month when I first started like my marketing business. I wanted to get 3,000 a month, and that seemed crazy because, like, I think that was a little bit more than what I was making at in my position when I was working full time, because I was salaried. I was salaried as a program manager for a nonprofit, so it wasn't a big money thing. And to get to 3,000 a month on my own, just building my business, seemed like insane and wild. And when I started like looking at my life and realizing like, why am I not making that much money right now? As I started examining my life, I was like, oh, well, this makes perfect sense. I I waste a lot of my mental time, my mental energy, and my time playing video games. I was playing Warzone all the time. I was playing Warzone all the time. I wasn't doing stuff to prospect and bring in new business. I would just, sit around. I would do some of the work for the clients that I did have at the time, but it's not like I was really pouring my energy or pouring my energy, whether that's my monetary energy or my attention, into learning new skills so that I can bring in new clients, so that I can become more valuable in the work that I was doing. And it took me losing my two main clients for me to go into like shock and fear mode. And I was like, I need to do something immediately. Because rent was coming up and it was a problem. And I was like, I need to solve this. I need to figure this out. And then at that point, that's when I think I took some of the money that I had and I bought a course, and I learned some tactics for running a marketing agency, in like a certain way of like packaging your first deals. And by doing that, I was able to land my first couple of, actually, between that and then going out to events, which means that I needed to get out of the house. I needed to take my time and energy, prepare speeches, because I actually ended up doing a workshop at a weekly entrepreneurship meetup down in Miami. And once I did that, clients showed up, but I had to like redirect my energy that I would have, because that night I would have been home spending my time playing Warzone, and I decided not to do that and to do something else. And by directing my energy somewhere else and being a different person, I had to become a different person to go out and do that stuff. I was able to like easily start scaling my income to my first $5,000 a month, and then my first $10,000 client, which is like crazy to get to that point. But you have to be willing to give up the things that you are addicted to, whatever those things happen to be. Because if you want to become if you want a different life, you have to become a different person. So Bob, how do I get out of no contact with my SP? This goes back to the addiction thing. What thoughts are you currently addicted to? If you are no contact with your SP, you're addicted to a certain number of thoughts. I don't know what they are, but I can give you some ideas based on what I've seen from clients who have been no contact with their SPs. A couple of things come up. You could raise your hand if this is you. And this is going to seem completely unrelated, but it is. What's your relationship with your parents? Did you have a good relationship with your dad? Did you have a good relationship with your mom? If you're no contact with your SP, and your SP happens to be a girl, your relationship with your mom. One thing that I've noticed, people who struggle chasing after an SP who doesn't have time for them, who maybe has their own career, especially if it's a woman who has her own career, she's busy doing her own stuff, and maybe you guys broke up and she's just unavailable. She's not there for you. Usually what I've found is that it's a reflection of a relationship with a mother, where mom was a career woman and mom wasn't available to give you that kind of love. So what ends up happening inside of the person is, like, as a kid, we don't have the ability to understand, oh, mom's working. We just internalize, mom doesn't have time for me. Mom doesn't give me the love in the way that I want. So we internalize that in our own kid brain is, I'm unworthy of love. What's wrong with me? Is something wrong with me? Why doesn't anybody love me? Why doesn't, if mommy doesn't love me, why would any other woman love me? And that energy of, oh, I'm not sure, or this woman is like far away from me and I want affection, and not, that affection isn't happening, or that communication isn't happening for whatever reason, that energy becomes familiar. And when we talk about SP, when we're like, I like you, I'm attracted to you, what that actually means is I'm familiar. When I meet you, I'm familiar with this energy. I'm familiar with the energy of somebody who isn't available for me right now. I'm familiar with an energy of somebody who doesn't text me back, who doesn't communicate with me, who doesn't initiate conversation first, who I have to reach out to get them to communicate with me at all, and it feels like pulling teeth. That's one thing. So ask yourself, the relationship between you and your parents. What was going on between you and your parents? And then take a moment and think about what's going on. Like if you zoom out and look at you and your SP as a third person, like you're actually looking at a friend who's going through this, does this seem similar to the energy pattern that you have with your parents, either your mother or your father, or one of your siblings or somebody else that was close to you? If it is, then that means that you need to work on that problem. Nothing has nothing to do with your SP. Has nothing to do with them not talking to you or anything like that. You got to fix that relationship. And once you fix that relationship internally, and you give forgiveness and love to your mother, and you pour out love to her, and you work on healing that relationship, it's much easier for your SP to come back to you. Especially if there's no contact, because then energetically you're a different person. What people don't understand is when you're in a state of loneliness, or you're in a state of being unhappy, that's repulsive. It's like, like not just nasty, it's like literally like magnetically repulsive. Like when you have that anxious energy in your body, you are quite literally like the negative end of you're quite literally like the negative end of a magnet, where when they try to put their magnet to yours, there's that pushing away. It's that repulsive energy. They don't want to be around that. And nobody wants to be around that. Nobody wants to be around that uncomfortable energy. And they're not going to understand why. They may not be able to verbalize it, but they'll just slowly drift away. They'll find excuses to not talk to you and to drift away, because the energy is quite literally pushing them away. But when you work on forgiveness and healing any of these problems and any of these traumas, and you feel good, you feel like you look good. Like, ooh, look at me. When you feel like confident, like, yes, I'm like powerful. I want people to be around me. Like I'm having so much fun. I'm just laying back. When you have that kind of energy, it draws people in. When you don't need other people and you're happy in yourself, you're happy in whatever space you're in, you're doing work that you enjoy, you're passionate, you're having fun. When you're in that state, people notice and they feel drawn to it. And even if that person isn't in contact with you, they feel differently. And usually if you have, if you want like in-person explanations, if you have a similar friend group where you have friends that follow the both of you, you're going to come up in conversation. If you're posting your stories, or you're interacting with some of the similar people that they know, you're going to come up in conversation. If you're thinking about them while in that positive state, they'll pick up on it. They'll pick up on the feeling, and they'll want to reach out to you. It's the same thing, and everybody's experienced this at one point or another, where you've where out of nowhere you just think of somebody that you haven't thought about in like months or years. You just feel out of nowhere they just pop up in your head. You're like, why am I thinking about Jackie? I haven't thought about Jackie in years. Why is Jackie coming up? Maybe I should reach out to her. And then you do, and they're like, hey, I was just thinking about you. Yeah, no duh. I picked up on the signal that you were putting out. Yeah, so that helps. Victory comes from finding opportunities and problems. Ooh, that's a really good one. That is actually completely true. No, I did not come back from rehab. I am just hanging out. I've been dealing with my daughter being sick. My daughter and my SP, they got colds. Me and her mom and my daughter, we all got sick. But for us, it was like only like maybe a day or two, and then mommy just got it. So mommy's now got a sore throat and all that. So I've been taking care of them a little bit, spending time around them. So I didn't get the time to really do anything with my hair. So yeah. So relatable though. The meditation actually calms me down. It helps because detachment. Yeah, detachment's very easy. I ask, what would you do if you reached, if you reach 100K in 5 months? That's a good question. What would I do if I reached 100K in 5 months? A giveaway, a giveaway, a giveaway. I'd 100%. When I hit major milestones, I'll do a giveaway. One wealth manifesting, one wealth manifesting principle that works really well is donation. In Christianity, it's known as tithing. It's got another name when referred to in Islam, a completely different name when referred to in Judaism. So all the different religions in some way, shape, or form practice this giving without getting something else in return, just like giving freely. So I would definitely do a giveaway. How much? I don't know. We'll see. Maybe 10% is always good. So probably anywhere between like $10 to $1,000. I'm sorry, not $10 to $1,000. $1,000 to $5,000. That was the actual amount. So anywhere between there. We'll see when we get there. But I would love to do a giveaway. That's one of the big things that I would do at 100K. And you know what? Probably in-person event. I've been very big on in-person events. I used to work as a program manager for a coding and startup nonprofit, and I put on a lot of different events. So I do an in-person event down in Miami. So giveaway an in-person event. That's what I would do at 100K. Oh, Bob, you asked a couple times. I'm glad I was able to do that. CJ, wait. Yeah, CG, what's up? Thank you. I'm glad you loved the video. I'm glad that you're enjoying yourself on, Christopher, I'm glad you're enjoying yourself on your stuff. I don't usually bring people up on the streams. This is my second one. What are the future topics of your videos? I can't wait to watch whatever you put out. I can actually give you a couple of ones. One video I'm working on, it's taking a little bit longer than I thought, was the Nicocado Avocado. Nicocado Avocado. If you don't know Nicocado, the guy, crazy YouTuber, mukbanger, the guy was like super big. I think it was over 300 pounds. And out of nowhere, dude shows back up, and he's like, I've been gone for even though he's been posting videos, he's like, I've been gone for about 2.5 years, 2 years planning this, and he lost like 250 pounds. It was freaking ridiculous. And people were absolutely shocked and lost their minds. And the point of the video and what I'm going to be talking about is the fact that Nick, his videos, especially the ones that have happened since like the weight loss, have been a masterclass in the unhinged method and manifestation. Like, one of the videos are to throw people off was that it was him fat talking about how he made everything up, and he was looking at all these videos and people were posting videos getting millions of views, and he fooled and tricked everybody. And I was like, wait a minute, I think everybody kind of like missed the fact that he was low-key manifesting exactly what happened prior to any person knowing about his weight loss journey. While he was still fat, he literally stood in front of the wall and talked about all the views that people were getting by talking about the drama of him losing the weight, how he tricked everybody with what he had done, how everybody was super gullible, and how he hadn't actually lost the weight. But it was crazy because he actually did end up losing the weight. So he had to mentally put himself into the space where he had already lost the weight. People were already replying to his videos, and there were millions and millions of views, talking about all of his weight loss and everything that had happened. So he already future paced exactly what was happening and wrote scripts and recorded videos while he was fat, talking about everything that everybody was talking about after he had posted those videos, which was a master class. And he was also able to make $1 million by fooling the internet, which, to be honest, from a business standpoint, absolutely genius. I don't think I'm going to talk about it on this channel because it's like the business portion of it. I will talk about the manifestation part because it is very interesting for self-improvement. But for the business side, I'm going to post it on my other channel, because it was quite literally one of the most genius exits in YouTube history. He already knew that he was going to end up, he was going to lose all the weight. He already knew that that would result in a complete like degrading of his audience, because his audience expected him to play this fat character. So he knew he wanted to stop playing that character. It was detrimental to his health. He was on a sleep apnea machine, and I know he was probably in like tons and tons of pain. So he decided that he was going to craft this drama story of him all of a sudden just showing up super skinny after having posted videos, and it's like he lost the weight overnight and he's freaking everybody out. And he was able to use that with YouTube and TikTok, both monetized, and create his videos in a way that he was able to get about, the low end estimates were like a little under $1 million in revenue, a little under over $1 million in revenue from the whole fiasco between his TikTok and his YouTube, which eased the transition where he was moving his content over to one of his second channels, and it brought a whole bunch of eyeballs to his second channel, which is absolutely genius, because now he gets to be his new character. He gets to retire the old character of him being fat, got a $1 million paycheck, which helps ease the transition because he's going to have a major hit in terms of like his views as he begins to build his following on the new channel. But he basically engineered the perfect YouTube exit. So genius. So that's one of the videos, but talking about the self-concept and how he manifested all the stuff. That's one of the videos. What was another one I had? Another one on the list, Nicocado Avocado. I have another video which is about shame, which is very important, letting go of shame, and how shame is related to manifestation, and it's one of the big blocks that people have to manifesting their relationships. I got a video talking about the forgiveness exercise. I've been running the forgiveness exercise. I call it the forefathers exercise. Forgiveness for the healing the father wound, because that's related to both relationships and relationships for women and money. So if you're a man, usually if you have problems with money, if you have problems with money, most of the time it's related to a father wound. If you're having problems with your relationship, like manifesting an SP, it's usually a reflection of like a mother wound. And that's specifically if you were trying to manifest and you're doing all the things and nothing seems to work. That's usually the reason why it's not working. It's usually because of that, from what I've noticed with people who've like talked to me. So why don't you look like a bald guru? Is it just me that most gurus are bald? They're tired of the hair in general. I mean, it depends on what kind of guru you're talking about. There are a lot of people who are bald. I love my freaking hair. I've always loved my curly hair. It's been a very important like part of me and part of my identity. And I love the Eastern guru tradition of people growing out their hair. That's why I got the beard growing out. Although I got to trim it down because it's like kind of messy. But I understand that the way that I look, the brand archetype that I'm fitting is like the old sage, which is why I got the salt and pepper beard. Dude, that was the best case for meditation in terms of manifestation that I've ever heard. Wish more coaches would harp on this. Yeah, also, I used to be Abraham Hicks fan, so this makes sense. No problem. Yeah, I'm glad. Thank you. I'm glad I made a really good case for meditation. Let me see. I'm gonna go back to other people's stuff. Hi, question about manifesting, specifically visualization. I have a hard time actually imagining and visualizing things. How do I do this? Okay, so I had to ask a couple additional questions on this. So you guys who are watching, just comment and let me know. How many of you guys are struggling with like visualizing? Because that was another idea, that a concept that I have for a video, because I have a theory for part of the reason why people struggle with manifesting, or not manifesting, but imagining and visualizing. So just put a 1 down in the chat if you have trouble with visualizing. Let me see that. But okay, so while I wait for people to throw their 1s in the chat, I got a 1. All right, there's 2 1s. Hey Emma, what's up? What's up? Emma you were my first super thanks. Thank you so much, Emma. So shout outs to Emma. When we talk about, oh, I'm glad that you don't have trouble with that, Steve. So a lot of people I've noticed, and it's a common question, is that like people struggle with visualizing. I think this I think this is partly due to people struggling with some degree of antiphasia, which is the the difficulty or the problem with like visualizing items. And I think a lot of people suffer from some degree of it without knowing. I think probably one of the biggest posts that I saw somebody talk about was John Green, the author. He's part of the Vlogbrothers group, and they were the founders of VidCon. John Green, he mentioned, he made a post on Twitter where it was a group of apples. Like it was a bunch of apples. And the idea or concept of apple got like less and less complex, just showing like different degrees of antiphasia. Let me see if I can find the post so I can show it to you guys. Aphasia apple post. Here we go. So this is the photo that he had in the post, which was showing the apple and different degrees of antiphasia, where it starts with the fact that the person doesn't know or doesn't have any sort of image related to the thing, and then the second one is like an outline where it's not really that defined at all. Then you have a subtle image without really having any color or texture to it. Then you have a little bit more color and texture, and then you have the full thing. I actually have something that goes a little bit more in depth for this, but I think people think that we're all referring to the same thing, but it's not. So for John, what he said in his post was like, oh, I thought people all just thought of like the concept of an apple or like the idea, but not like a full-fledged image. I didn't know that people were seeing full-fledged images of apples. And it's like, no, you can do that. So when people talk about these things like imagining and visualizing, we're not always referring to the same thing. So here are like the phases, and you could figure out where you are in this when you visualize. There is the first level, which is just you hear the concept and there's no image associated with it. This means that you probably have a high degree of antiphasia and need to do like body detoxes and stuff related to third eye decalcification. Because if you can't see any of this stuff, it's usually a reflection of like something actually wrong with the structure of the brain that needs to be fixed and taken care of. The next level over this is where we have just concept, where when I say the word apple, you can sort of see the concept very lightly, like superimposed over the space around you. It's kind of like it's there. Like, oh, okay, just a fleeting thought of this image. It's not very defined. There's no texture to it. It's just apple. And it may be somewhere in the physical space around you. That would be phase 1, which is just light concept of the idea, right? Phase 2. This is where you get a person who's, taking a moment, and you may like focus on it a little bit more, and you can actually see the apple. Like you might close your eyes, like a daydream, where you are not as connected to the physical reality around you, whatever's in the space around you, and you've poured more of your attention into the image of the apple. And this will typically happen when people are in light daydream, like when you're sitting in class as a kid and you're like, you kind of like stare at the wall and you're not really looking at the wall, you're seeing all these images and stuff, and then you snap back and you're like, oh wait, I forgot, the whole space is here, it's around here. That would be the next phase, which is light daydream, where you're slightly going into it. Your eyes may see stuff that's going on around you, but a majority of your focus is being put onto the concept of the apple. But you're sort of split between the two. It's not like fully there. It's kind of like where you have that little bubble where kids like, looking up and their eyes aren't closed and they see the apple. Then we move into closed eye daydream. Each point, what you're doing is you're moving closer and closer into the state known as hypnagogia or theta wave, the theta brainwave state, where you've relax the body even more, you disconnect more from the physical reality, and you put more of that energy that you would have been putting into your physical body into the thing that you're not manifesting. So I feel touched by him. Oh, awesome. Yes, I'm live. Welcome. Glad to have you. Oh, glad to have you, Michelle. So at the level of closed eye daydream, the degree of focus that goes into this is based on like how still your physical body is, how dark the physical space around you is, and how much you withdraw your attention from the physical space around you. This is where we start crossing the threshold into Neville Goddard SATs. You start talking about the same state that happens when you're doing an Abraham Hicks meditation. It's a very relaxed physical state. You're supposed to leave the body in a comfortable position. You can sit in half lotus, full lotus, whatever that happens to be, and you relax and let the body sit until it rests. The body has to come into a state of stillness. You do need to close your eyes and have darkness in the space around you. So having an eye mask helps out a lot, or laying down helps out a lot. The important thing is that there needs to be darkness, physical stillness, and a lack of sound around you, which is why having, headphones or just a regular sound like a fan overhead being there. And it's much better to do this later at night, partly because less people are moving around, so you don't have a lot of things pulling your attention to them, whether it's people, sounds going on, any of that. You don't have to do anything, so you could put all of your attention and all your focus into the visualizing. And when you do this, this is where you go into the state of closed eye visualization. The key difference in the experience of the visualization between regular daydreaming and like closed eye visualization, which is like, I'll refer to that as phase 3 or stage 3. When you go into stage 3, you are there. That's like the defining difference. Instead of just seeing the apple, you are there with the apple. You have now added yourself, your astral, your causal, your imaginary body into the act of the imagination. So it's not just the concept of an apple, it's an apple in relation to you. So you can hold the apple in your hand, and you could look at the apple and pour more of your attention into the apple, where you're looking at it, and it's not floating around in space, which might happen in the first 2 phases, where you're in daydreaming or you're just in light visualization. You're actually looking at the apple, and it's able to stay and maintain its area in space, because you're looking at the apple from the perspective of you and the apple. The other ones may have the concept of the apple, where the apple is just like floating around in space. It may be over here, maybe over here, but instead the apple is grounded either on the ground, on an object, in your hand, in relation to you. Same thing with anything else where it's a car. It's not just the concept of a car. It's not the concept of the Mercedes-Benz. It's you sitting inside of the Mercedes-Benz and looking around in the space, which is the defining factor. So when we talk about the tones of reality, what Neville Goddard is referring to is the fact that you're not just looking at the concept of the thing of what you want, you're thinking from being in the space where this thing is physically in the space with you. You have the ring, you're married, you know you're married because you're in the physical space where you have the ring. You're in the car that you bought, you're in the dream home. You're in the relationship. You're in bed with your ideal person. And you're not thinking of being in the bed with the person, because thinking of it means that you're in third person, you're away. When you're thinking from it, you're in the bed laying next to them and you're like, wow, they look so amazing. Wow, they feel so comfortable. I'm so glad that like, hey, actually, I need to go use the bathroom. Those are the types of thoughts you have. When you get to that point, that's when you've gone that's when you've gone far, and that's when you know you're doing the visualization right, because you're now in the space experiencing the thing itself in relation to you. And when you can visualize the thing in relation to you like an apple, and it's no longer just the concept of an apple, it's me and an apple, and I'm holding the apple, I can take a bite of the apple. And the only way for the universe to bring back that sensation of me biting the apple is to have me in the physical world bite an apple later on. And that's what Neville was trying to teach people when he talked about stuff like the ladder exercise. When you do the ladder exercise, it was to see the ladder from the first person of you walking up the ladder. He didn't say, just think of the concept of a ladder. Just imagine a ladder somewhere in space. No, he said, take your hand and put your right hand on the ladder, your left foot on the ladder. Left hand on the ladder, right foot on the ladder. And then climb up the ladder, rung after rung after rung. The only way that you can do that is if you imagine the ladder in relation to you. The ladder has to be grounded physically in your physical space around you. And the only way for the image to come back up in your physical experience is for you to walk up a ladder. And that's why it's super important for people to visualize from the perspective of themselves, from first person, where they're interacting with the thing or interacting with something that implies that they have the thing. The reason why that's important is because the only way that you can get it is by having the experience of it. Here's why. Some people may visualize a kiss, which means that they'll say that they're visualizing a kiss, but what you're actually thinking of is the image of someone and someone else kissing. And it may be you in that picture kissing someone else, but it's seeing kissing outside of you. You're just seeing the kissing somewhere in the physical space, which you will manifest, but it will not look the way that you want. You can manifest kissing, but guess what? You're going to see two people kissing when you're at a coffee shop, and you're not going to think anything of it because it's just going to be like, oh yeah, this couple's kissing. You're going to watch something on Netflix where you see two people kissing. You'll scroll through YouTube shorts and you'll end up on something where you see two people kissing, and it's the manifestation of the actual visualization where you saw something from the third person. You saw two people kissing, therefore the two people kissing came up, and you don't recognize the manifestation, but it's exactly what you impressed on the consciousness in your subconscious mind. So if you want kissing and you want it in the way where you're kissing somebody, you have to imagine yourself standing in front of the person, holding their face and kissing them. You want the kiss, you have to see the lips from your eyes and bring them in for the smooch. That's how it happens. Here's one thing that people do with like cars and other stuff like that. They're like, oh, I want this car. Mercedes-Benz, 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 Mercedes-Benz. But they never think about the fact that they only see the car from the outside. And if you're only seeing the car from the outside, and you're only seeing the image of the car from the inside, and it's like far away and you're not interacting with it, you're gonna manifest that, but you're just gonna be watching a video of the car. You'll see the car, but it'll just be in the parking lot or driving past you. You have to visualize the thing from a perspective and a position that could only be fulfilled by being or having the thing. So how do you do that? Well, you can imagine washing the car. If it's your car, you're probably going to wash it. So imagine yourself washing the car. Why? Because you're only going to wash a car if it's your car. You're not going to wash a rental car. Not a lot of people wash rental cars. So if you want it to be your car, you're probably going to spend time washing it. And it's going to seem mundane. You're going to be with the vacuum. But it's allowing you to get close to all the areas of the car, to smell the leather. And the only way for the universe to give you that imaginal act is for you to have the car. Unless you're somebody who does car detailing, then in that case, don't do that, because then you'll just end up washing all the cars that you want to have in your life. But you'll end up washing the car, and it'll be for good reason. So imagine and feel the ownership of having the car as you wash it. Same thing with a house. If you want to, this is like, I think I'll make a video on this, like the mundane manifesting technique, because I've actually done this for different things. You want a house? Cool. Do boring stuff. Cook in the house. Go to the bathroom in the house. Clean the house. If it's your house, sweep the floors. Clean the kitchen after eating food. By doing that, you actually have to see yourself doing the stuff, and it seems mundane, but it's much easier for you to get into the state of being in the house and it being yours and taking ownership of it because you're taking care of it. One of the things that I did with my SP that I'm now remembering, one of the manifestational acts I did was that I massaged her. I did it in my consciousness. I imagined massaging her. So the only way for me to get that experience in my physical space was that I had to feel her and massage her. So if you want to have an ideal person, take some time and imagine massaging them. Most people are not letting just random people massage them unless you're a masseuse. Instructions are clear. Me and the apple are married now. Oh man. I mean, hey, yeah. I now pronounce you husband and apple. Wife and apple. I have crystal clear visions as downloads. It's more challenging for me to direct the visualization. So this is actually I need to go back to the thing, because there is a level, there's a fourth level on top of the third level. When you have crystal clear visualizations for the thing, that's perfect. Make sure that you're doing it from the point of view of you doing the stuff. There is something that is known as like the fourth stage or the fourth phase, and it's a state where you do the act again and again and again and again and again and again, and then there's a shift. There's a certain point where there's one of two shifts that will happen. If you stay in the state of number 3 long enough and you loop it and you do it again and again and again and again, your theta wave state, your brain state is going to get closer and closer to theta and the state of hypnagogia. And there's a certain point where you will slip. You will no longer think of the physical body that you're in right now, and you will be there in the space. And it'll be a moment where you will feel. You won't think it, you'll feel it. It'll be like, whoa, I feel like I actually am in the relationship. I felt like I was married. When you get that feeling, that's you embodying the energy that you want. If you go to sleep in that state, you will actually continue to vibrate that for the next 7 to 8 hours as you sleep. So you either get the feeling, or this is probably one of the craziest ones. Sounds weird, but it's happened. And if you do this long enough, it will happen to you. There will be a point where you swap, and it's no longer there's no effort, and the space that you're in immediately takes solidity. And you shift from imagining to having a lucid dream. And that is like the highest level, where it's like, I'm not imagining the thing laying in the plate. No, I'm there. You have no awareness of the physical body, and you have now fully moved into the space as a lucid dreamer. It's like you just woke up in the middle of a lucid dream, and everything is now taken on the actual tones of reality. And you're like, oh my gosh, I'm actually here. Oh my gosh, I'm actually sitting in the car with the apple. I'm in the Mercedes with the apple. And you're like, oh my god, and the thing that lets you know you've gotten to that space is that the items no longer feel like you're projecting them. They feel as though that they have some solidity outside of you. It's like, this is just an item that's here. I'm actually in the space. This thing is actually here. What is going on? Oh my gosh, I'm in the car. I am in the car. That is probably one of the coolest experiences I've ever had when doing visualizing, where the switch was profound. It happened. It was like, to go from visualizing to lucid dream, crazy, wild. You don't have to go into that state to manifest. You just need to go into the state where you have the feeling, where you begin to edge into that space where it's like, I feel like I'm in that space right now. You may know that your physical body is back, but once you come back to your physical body, it's like, whoa, what just happened? There feels like there's a bit of whiplash where it's like, whoa, I kind of like when you're sitting in class and you snap back from a daydream. That's what it feels like when you come back to the physical body if you're waking back up once you've hit that point, or if you fall asleep. That's the best thing. But you're doing it to create the feeling of actually being there. So you're no longer thinking of the thing, you're now thinking of other things, which sounds a little bit weird, but you practice. The point of practicing the visualization is to practice long enough to build the energy pattern in your nervous system where you don't have to think about it anymore, which is a habit. You don't think about it anymore. The thing just plays, and now you can think while feeling the same thing. That's why Neville and all these people talked about repetition, doing it again and again and again and again and again and again. Because what you're doing is you're building that repetitious pattern where the imaginal act plays, and now I don't have to think, oh, apple, apple, apple. I'm thinking like, what am I gonna work on later on today while chewing on the apples? Like, I think I want to, like, after this, I'll probably go and record my next video. I should go get gas. Yeah, I should go get gas. Once you start thinking like that during the visualization and the manifestation, that's when you've actually gone there, because now you're thinking from the state instead of thinking of the state. So that's one thing there. That helps people out. Let me go back because I know. Because I know I skipped a couple people. Somebody said Trump 2024. Yeah, cool. Your profile pic is the best picture I've seen. Thank you. What's up, Chief? What's up, Mars? Carla. How can I know if I had any past lives? I don't do past life regression. That's not my thing. There are people who teach meditations for viewing and seeing your past lives. That's just not something that I've really done too much on. So I can tell you what I think about it, but it's not like from a space of experience. I like talking about things that I have experience and expertise in. Past lives is not one of them for me. How to do no contact when have kids. Her and her whole family has blocked me. Do the imaginal act of you having a conversation with her. It doesn't matter if the person's blocked you. People become hyper focused on circumstances and what's happening in the physical space around you. The physical space around you means nothing. That sounds crazy. What do you mean it means nothing? This is Wait, because we operate based on this principle every single freaking day. So, Kyle, and for anybody else who's dealing with no contact, stop focusing on that. Think of it this way. If you just focused on what was happening in the physical experience around you as a business owner, let's just say as a business owner, I have one client who I'm working on ads for right now. They could make, sometimes they make anywhere between like 5,000 to like 9,000 a month, right? If you focus on the reality or how things are, these are the only sales that we get. These are the only people that we currently have on our email list that we can send emails to. These are the ads that we currently have. If they just focused on that and that's all that they believed that they had, their business would not grow. Their business would die because they would just keep running the same ads. They would keep emailing the same people over and over again, the number of times that they did before, and nothing would change. How businesses grow is that they decide, oh, we're going to go out and we're going to find more people. Why? Because we believe that there are other people out there. Why do you believe that? Well, because we know other people have done it, so it doesn't matter. We know that if we do this stuff, if we post on social media, if we run ads, we'll get access to people, and we know that there are people out there who can buy, who want to buy our stuff. We just need to put the message out in front of them. So if we do that stuff, if we do the emails right to those people, if we start reaching out and partnering with other companies, we can reach those people. And now instead of making 5,000 and 9,000 a month, now we can go and we can make 20,000 a month. We can scale that to 40,000 a month, 50,000 a month, 70,000 a month, whatever that happens to be. They can do that, but they have to believe that it's possible, even though the reality is not a reflection of that. Which means they have to dream, they have to imagine, they have to create something that isn't supported currently by their current reality. They have to believe it and then act according to it, and then the people show up. The people haven't shown up to bought the stuff yet, but they have to act as if, do the work, and then the people end up showing up and buying the product. So business owners understand and know this and do this every single day. Now, how does this relate to when somebody's no contact? You act as if. You create the imaginal act where you are under the assumption that this person is talking to you. This person is coming over and you're hanging out and you're spending time together. When you do this is part of what people struggle with, is that they believe that they're, well, that's one of the problems. When you do this, you broadcast your emotions and your thoughts to other people. If you paid attention during like physics, then you probably knew in physics class that waves will move through physical objects. You're listening to me right now. You might be inside of a house. How are you listening to me right now? I'm speaking. The words are being received by my microphone, taken by my iPhone. The words are being broadcast from my phone, first from my brain, then to the phone. From the phone, it's being broadcast via Wi-Fi over to a Wi-Fi router, which picks up the signal, takes the signal, sends it through lines, fiber optic lines, all the way into the internet to servers that YouTube takes care of. Some YouTube server farm, someplace, I don't know where in the world, that image is being taken, it's being sent, you're picking it up on your phone because the broadcast is going from your Wi-Fi to your phone, being picked up, turned, and instantaneously turned into an image and sound. I am in Florida. I'm in the middle of nowhere. I'm in the middle of nowhere in Central Florida. I'm speaking to a phone. There are, I don't know how many people have showed up over the course of the session, but there are 20 people on here right now. I'm talking to people, even though the fact that I'm just sitting here having a conversation. I am projecting my thoughts across time and space. Where are you listening in from right now? Comment that down below. Where are you listening in from right now? Because I've had people who are listening to me in Ireland, people who are listening to me in Canada, people who've been listening to me in California, people in Texas, people in Mexico. I have a session with somebody, Andres. I have a session with Andres tomorrow, and Andres is in Mexico. Thoughts, and for some strange reason, we believe and understand this with technology. Thoughts or waves move outwards and are picked up by certain technologies that are tuned to that. Just like with a radio. How radios pick up radio waves is that they have a receiver on the inside that's vibrating at the same rate. That's what you're doing when you're tuning a radio tuner. What you're doing is you're changing the rate of vibration of the antenna so that it's picking up signals that are being broadcast on that specific wavelength. So when you're tuning to 99 jams or 101.5 Light FM, what you're doing is you're changing the vibrating frequency of this thing so it picks up the signals that are being broadcast, because we understand, or the people who put the stuff together understand, that when you vibrate something at a certain rate, it's going to pick up the signals that are being broadcast. We understand that, or we are aware of it vaguely. The same thing happens with thoughts. Thoughts are waves. Alpha waves, beta waves, theta waves, those are all waves, just like waves of Wi-Fi, your 5G, your radio waves, the AM, FM waves. Guess what? Your brain waves are also waves. I don't know who forgot to tell you guys that, but I don't know who forgot. I don't know. I don't understand why people don't think about that. It's like, yeah, your brains are waves. And just like the fact that you're sitting inside of the bathroom listening to this, or you're sitting in bed listening to this because it's kind of late some places, if you're sitting there, you understand that the waves are moving through solid objects. It's moving through the walls. Like the walls didn't stop the phone. If you physically stand between you and the router, the waves are still going to hit your phone. So it moves through physical bodies. So we understand that for Wi-Fi. We don't even think about it. It's just normal everyday stuff. The same thing is happening with your brain waves. They do not stay inside of the head. The head doesn't stop your brain waves. Your brain waves radiate outwards. And depending on how powerful your emotional signal is, because that's the amount of emotional power that you're doing, if you sit yourself down and you relax the body, you're acting like a broadcasting station. Just like with the FM radio, you're acting like a broadcasting station. And instead of just thinking of, oh, what am I going to eat? What am I going to wear tomorrow? What kind of work? Oh, I'm thinking about all my old memories. If you sit there and you broadcast, I love spending time together. I love spending time together. I love spending time together with you guys. And you feel yourself hugging them or having a conversation with them and talking with them on FaceTime. If you're vibrating that, if you're thinking that, you're putting out that signal. You're broadcasting it powerfully. And if you do that 1 night, 2 nights, 3 nights, 4 nights, they're going to pick up on the signal. I gave an example a little bit earlier of like how you would think about somebody randomly. Like they would just pop in your head and you're like, why do I keep thinking about this person? Why are they? I haven't thought about them in years. Why am I thinking about them? It's because you're picking up on them vibrating to you. If you ever been around somebody who just seemed like really creepy, like they were standing off at the side in the club, looking at everybody, hey, lady, they're like that. People don't want to be around them because that person is vibrating creepiness. People are picking up on what that person is like putting out in terms of their emotions and their thoughts. So they feel uncomfortable because they're uncomfortable with those kinds of vibrations coming from that person. People pick up on it. We understand it in certain contexts, but when it comes to no contact, just like the Wi-Fi, they don't need to pick up the phone to receive the they don't need to reply back to pick up the message. If you are diligent in broadcasting the pure signal of you talking together and feeling good and having fun and that's what you're broadcasting, that's what you're broadcasting, that's what you're broadcasting, that's what you're broadcasting, it is only a matter of time before they reach out to you. Because it's just like when you can't get somebody off your mind. 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 You thought about them yesterday. You thought about the day before yesterday. You thought about them the day before yesterday. You just can't stop thinking about them. And you're like, you remember those good memories. And then you start looking at the videos and you're like, you know what? I need to reach out to them. How are you doing? I just wanted to check in. That's what happens. So don't worry about no contact. No contact doesn't matter. Have contact with them in your imagination. Broadcast the signal. They will, if you are diligent in broadcasting that and focusing on mostly that, that's what you'll get. But if you broadcast that and then you immediately broadcast it with, oh, I don't know, oh, they're not showing up or anything like that, then you're broadcasting the opposite and they're picking up on that too. And then they're gonna go, oh, I was thinking about them. It's like, no, I blocked them. I don't want to talk about that person. Oh man, I feel like bad. I don't want to talk to them. That's that's why they don't reach out to you, because you go back and forth. They pick up both signals, and they're like, oh yeah, I'm not gonna talk to that person because that doesn't make sense. I'm not gonna do that to myself. So if you want somebody to show up in your life, get very clear on what you want, because most people don't want just a message. You want to spend time around the person. Like, that would suck if all you got from your SP was just like a conversation or a text. That's why I don't like those videos. I might end up doing one just because it gets a lot of views, but like, manifest a text from somebody. No! No! You're going to use the powers of creation, the same powers that created the cosmos, to manifest a simple text message? Come on! Have a little bit of, like, think bigger. Have a little bit of creativity. Steve Master, may I ask about your opinion on circumstances? I'm glad you mentioned Nicocado Avocado. I get the circumstances don't matter. Though, can us as the manifester, can we affect our SP circumstances in a good way? Yes, you can manifest circumstances in a good way. You can, your thought waves, like I was talking about earlier, the broadcasting, you could broadcast thoughts, and they're picked up not only by your specific person, they're picked up by a lot of people. And if you have a particular circumstance that you want to happen, think about what that circumstance is, because most circumstances revolve around people. Either them or another person who may be in a position of power or something else like that, and you're trying to manifest something to be different or something to change. If you are pure in your intention, like you want somebody to get a job, if you just imagine them having a job, what you've actually broadcasted is not only the idea of the job to that person, you've broadcasted the idea of the job to employers. So now employers are now going to start thinking about and feeling that they need certain positions filled, and they will be looking for this type of person, because what happens is it manifests in the person as like a desire or an urge. Whenever people have desires or urges, we don't really think about where they come from. We just believe that they're our own. Sometimes they are, sometimes they aren't. You're on YouTube. You weren't born with the desire to go on YouTube. You weren't born with the desire to learn how to manifest. You weren't born with the desire to scroll until you found a guy with wild curly hair and a big old beard talking about manifesting. But for some strange reason, you had the desire to sit here and to continue listening and watching. So desires radiate outwards. People do not question desires that show up in their own body, because they just think that the desires are their own. So when you broadcast the desire for yourself or for somebody else, you can broadcast desires that change other people's circumstances, whether they're financial circumstances, health circumstances, where the person lives. Things change, things shift, like circumstances. So for instance, circumstances, my SP, one of the main times that I manifested her, I wanted her to come spend time with me down in Brazil, right? Now, I'm down in Brazil. I think at this point, I've been down in Brazil for about 3 months, right? 3 months. And I want her to come see me. So I don't even think about all the stuff, all the obstacles. I'm just imagining her there in Brazil with me. Circumstances. If I were to think of circumstances, I would have had to think about all the issues and all the problems, all the things that I didn't know. She had bought a new car. So she had financing on the car. So she now had a car that she was paying for her insurance, and she was paying for her insurance, and she was paying the car loan. So she was paying the car payments. She had two jobs related to acting. She did acting work, but she also did acting coaching for two different groups. One for one school where she had to go to physical locations, and another one where she was doing acting via Zoom for acting coaching for a group of special needs students, and I think that was also virtual. But for the one that she did, one of them that she did, she had to fly out regularly to go for the kids' showcases. So she would have to travel around the United States for those things, and she didn't like it. She didn't enjoy it, but she did it because she needed to pay her stuff now. So when we got to the point where we're like, yeah, 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 I'm like, oh, you should definitely come visit me. She's like, but what about my job? What about the car? What about this? What about that? And I'm like, that doesn't matter. Just come down. Like, I'll take care of the car. Like, I'll pay the car. I'll take care of the stuff for the car. Just quit your jobs. You don't even like the jobs. You don't like your coworkers at all. You always complain about some of your bosses. Some of the people are great. Other ones you're like, not the biggest fans of. So I'm like, if that's the case, because some of them actually she enjoyed. Other ones she was just like anxiety. She would have anxiety attacks whenever one of her bosses would text or call. And I'm like, you don't enjoy it. I'm making money. Just come down. Like I'll get your ticket and then I'll send you some money so you can get some clothes and all that stuff. And then come down. So she quit. I sent her the money for the car. I sent her some cash so that she can get some clothes. She went to get clothes for the trip, and then she got her flight. I got her flight. She came down, and then we stayed down there together. So circumstances, from her point of view, she's like, but the car and my job, and I'm like, you don't have to worry about all that. All the solutions, all things that I needed to get taken care of, were taken care of. So the manifestation of just focusing on her being down there, once I did that, I knew everything was going to be taken care of, and I had enough money to take care of all those things. So it was very easy to get her down there. So circumstances don't matter. The only thing that, and it's funny, circumstances don't matter, as in like they don't create physical matter. If you're not focusing on the circumstance, you're not putting your attention into it. If you've ever heard of something known as the double slit experiment, it's where the act of observing an item, like they're shooting electrons and light at a photosensitive receptor, and when they didn't look at it, the pattern on the receptor would look like a wave. But when they observed it to see what was going on, they saw that it would create the pattern of a line. They're like two lines. It was like, no, this is not a wave. These are two lines. So it's like a particle. And the act of observing or looking at a thing collapses the possibilities and makes that into the reality. So when we talk about circumstances don't matter if you don't pay attention to the circumstances, because you're not actually collapsing the wave function of possibilities to create that. If you remove your attention from it, it's just a wave of possibilities where all of these things can just get taken care of. So don't focus on the circumstances unless you want those circumstances to manifest. If you put your attention on what you want and that's all you focus on, everything in terms of circumstances dissolve, because the only thing that you're putting your attention into and collapsing is the reality that you want to create. Which is where we get into what science refers to as the spooky science of quantum physics. It's not spooky science, it's just spirituality, bro. I like you, Mr. Hall. Thanks, Steve. Don't know. Would I know her brother? Yeah, my whole process that I just told you, that solves that one. I have a question about manifesting, specifically visualization. Okay, we got into the visualization stuff. Sometimes I start to visualize the past, good memories, or I get interrupted by thoughts of the situation in 3D. What can I do about that? Whenever you get thoughts of the 3D, understand that this is the mechanism that keeps a consistent reality. You're supposed to think about things again and again. And the reason why they pop up is because you've put more of your conscious attention into your memories and your previous experiences. So it's just that it's easier to go into, kind of like a habit. It's easier for you to brush your teeth if you're right-handed with your right hand because you've built it into a habit. Once you start doing it with your left hand, it's going to feel a little bit weird and take a little bit of time. But if you continue to do the strange thing, it'll become easier until it stops feeling weird, and then it becomes a habit and you could just do it naturally. The same happens for the way that you think. When you're thinking new thoughts and you're creating new imaginal patterns, you need to think the thought enough times for it to become a habit. That's what affirmations are. That's what mantra is. That's what this whole Neville Goddard visualizing thing is. It's thinking the thoughts enough until they become a pattern within you. And once it's a pattern within you, the pattern starts to manifest in the world around you, because it's a reflection of how you think and feel inside. So you change how you think and feel inside, everything else changes outside. So when the old thoughts come up, just say, oh, yeah, that's old. I don't want that anymore. So remove my attention and let that go back to the void, the silence, the darkness. Let it disappear. You don't need it. I guess I'm going to do manifestation challenges. I'm going to do some announcements for a couple of things later on in the month. Let me go to the stuff. Karma Angel, what's up? Confusion. Think about where you're gonna. Well, I guess you're answering somebody else's question. Confusion. Think about where you're going and where you want to be. How do you get SP to be obsessed with me after she left me for someone else? Bob. Ooh, that's a good one. Number one is understand that. So when there's a third person, what you're doing. Concisely thinking about where you're going. Yes. Yeah, concisely think about where you're going. Replace it with a positive thought. Yes, Karma Angel. Yes, you're 100% correct. That's what works really well. You want to focus your thoughts on to be a reflection of where you want to be. You need to think about where you want to be. You need to think from that space, so that your reflection of what you're living, a reflection of what you want in your life. So like money. What was I? Bob, I'm going to answer your question in a second, but I'm going to go back real quick. So money. If you want to have money, you need to actually see yourself in possession of the money and think like you have the money. So all the manifestation techniques where we're talking about, like Abraham Hicks, where Abraham was talking about how you should carry around $100 in your wallet and then mentally spend it multiple times a day, where you're like, I could spend it here, I could spend it here, I could spend it on this, I could spend it on that, I could spend it on this, that. And what you do is you vibrationally spend it 1,000 times during a day, and that's $100,000. What you're actually doing is you are making your internal experience, your thought process, be a reflection of having more money. Because if you have money, you're going to think about spending the money. So the more things that you look at and you think about spending the money on, your internal experience is a reflection of having the money. So you do that enough, you're going to end up having more money. The reason why people struggle and they don't have a lot of money is usually because they're thinking about their bills and not having enough money, and being overdrafted and not having enough money, and then having to pay for this thing and having to pay for this thing and having to pay for this thing and having to pay for this thing. And when you do that, you're naturally not going to have a lot of money, because that's all you're thinking about. All you're thinking about is where all your money is going, and you're not thinking about money coming in. Business owners, however, have to think about money coming in, payments, wire transfers, direct deposits, ACHs, money coming in. That's why that's why Shopify is so popular, because Shopify has the dashboard and you can see how many sales come in. And then that's why these people will have like the notifications on their phones. So every time they get a Shopify payment, they have that show up on their phone. So they're getting visual reminders that money's coming in, money's happening, money's coming my way. I'm thinking about having money. You think about how much money you want. You think about having $100,000 in your bank account. You see the $100,000 in your bank account. You think about what you're going to do with the $100,000 in your bank account. And the wild thing is, if you had $100,000 in your bank account, you probably would feel very uncomfortable, because you don't know what to do with the money. And because people don't practice feeling comfortable with the idea and concept of having large sums of money, and they don't think that they'd be good at holding it and directing it to the right places, because of that, they feel uncomfortable and they want to go back to a state of comfort. So they're going to end up like spending the money on a bunch of stuff. They end up going out and doing like crappy investments or money. Ultimately, every action that they do is to bring them back to a state of comfort, which is usually having little to no money, or having an amount of money that's in an area where they feel comfortable with, that they've spent a lot of time in, either imaginarily or physically. So if you want to have a lot of money, you have to actually imagine yourself in possession of lots of money and what you would do with that money. What would you buy? What would you not buy? Would you be financially disciplined? how are you going to be putting this money? How much are you going to set aside for taxes? How much are you going to be setting aside for expenses? How much are you going to need for the down payment on the house? There's so many people who want their houses. How many of you think about the down payment for the house? Have you thought about that? That kind of stuff. Oof, oof, oof. Would you do a video on O manifestation? What's O manifestation? Can you ask that question again, Becca? I need a little more detail. What's O manifestation? Are you talking about or like are you talking about what I think you're talking about? What are you referring to? Oh, well, so let me ask you this clarifying question. Are you referring to using your O in manifesting, or manifesting stuff that's so good that you're like, oh, this is the best that I've ever had? Which one are you referring to? Using it to manifest other things, or how do you manifest amazing experiences, intimate experiences where you're like, this is the best thing that I've ever had in my life? Using it to manifest. Okay. That never goes on in the movie. Okay, so this is different. This is different for men and for women. You can use the state of ecstasy in manifesting. You can, whether you're a man or a woman. Women have an easier time using this because there is really not a lot of loss in the process of having the experience. For men, though, I do not recommend it as a process because there is a loss associated with it for men. You don't need to use it in manifesting. If you're going to use it to manifest, what you're doing is you're just working yourself up into an energetic state. This goes back to what I was talking about earlier about broadcasting and signals. Right now you're watching me just like people watch stuff on TV, right? So you're watching me, I'm alive, having a conversation, camera and microphone are picking me up. The images and sounds are being broadcast as a wave, and your phone is picking up on the wave after it moves through like all the different routers to your Wi-Fi modem to your phone, whatever. And now it's reaching your eyeballs, hitting your brain, and now you're like, oh wow, look at this hair, it's wild. When you are in the act of visualizing and manifesting, you're acting just like a broadcasting station. Just like the fact that the broadcasting station would broadcast the images, whatever image or concept that you have inside of your mind is the image that's being broadcast outwards. And the emotional state, so the feeling inside of the body while holding the image, is the carrier wave that carries that image outwards, if that makes sense. So when we're trying to affect the subconscious mind, or the space, the formless substance around us, the more energy we build up inside of the body, the more powerfully we broadcast that wave out into the world around us. The whole point of doing the visualization exercise is so that you're able to create a clear mental image and to move the energy so powerfully inside of the body that you have a strong carrier wave that just boom explodes outwards. But the important carrier wave that you're looking for is the carrier wave of the feeling of the wish fulfilled, where it's like, I have it, yes. One of the hacks that you can do that our girl Becca is referring to is using your intimate organs as the method of building up that energy so that you can send the energy out in that powerful wave. You can do that. It is possible. You don't have to. It's an advanced technique. I recommend for most people to get into the emotional state, because it's it's very difficult for people to usually, excuse me, it's very difficult for people to usually disassociate the feelings of feeling good with their sexuality. And when it comes to like, excuse me, when it comes to doing it with another person or doing it with yourself, it's there's sometimes a lot of some guilt and other emotions that may get mixed into it. So I don't always recommend it for everyone. I would recommend people to just do the visualization exercises so that you build up your confidence in your ability to craft feelings in your body and not need to use the physical methods of doing that, because it requires you to have a high degree of control of your concentration. It requires you to have a high degree of control over your visualizing so that you're creating texture and depth. And I think that those skills are far more beneficial for individuals, especially on the if you're on a spiritual journey, you're trying to become a more spiritual person and create more things in your life. If you have those skills, it's far more beneficial than just brute forcing the feelings by using your orgasm. Oh, yeah. So that's that. But if you want to brute force it, you can brute force it and have that set out. It is possible. You can do it. I do not recommend it because I think it's more important for people to build the skills of visualizing and concentration so that you can use it for whatever you want. And there are certain things that you want in your life that may not be smart to mix that kind of energy with, depending on the relationships and what you're trying to manifest. Because there are certain areas where the energy may be that type of energy, that type of activity may not necessarily fit with it. Like when it comes to manifesting money, you may not want to have sexuality built up with money, because a lot of people do merge their sexuality with money, and that's where you have people who use their Instagram and stuff like that, and they're flaunting their body, and they're using that as a method to attract attention so that they can sell stuff, which is possible and it is doable, but it's not always the best method, especially if you're dealing with certain audiences or you have a certain reputation. You may not want to use that energy in there. Although, oddly enough, that does remind me that if you do want to study it a little bit more and become more proficient in it, I would suggest studying Tantra for both men and women. Just studying Tantra, going into it, because it's the method of not releasing it out physically, but taking that same energy and moving it up through the body. Because that's ultimately what you're doing with a lot of manifestation techniques, whether you're using Wayne Dyer's awe meditation that he got from Dr. Pillai, you're using Joe Dispenza's in the void, you're feeling the the energy go up the tube to the top of your head. It's a Kundalini exercise. You're actually taking the physical energy from the lower centers of your body and moving it upwards into the head, which is very beneficial. And I actually will recommend doing that because it doesn't require stimulation. It doesn't require physical stimulation of the organs like that, but it is the movement of the energy. And that I will recommend, because that is powerful, and that uses it in the right kind of way. And that's the transmutation of the energy. So I will recommend doing that. Is this stuff considered witchcraft? Depends on what you're doing and how you're using the stuff. If you're just using the Neville Goddard processes, and we're talking about like visualizing and seeing the things, no, it's not witchcraft. It's literally in the Bible. It's biblical tradition to prayer. It's what prayer actually is supposed to be. It's like if you read the ancient Aramaic, or the Hebrew, where they're doing stuff like describing prayer in the Lord's Prayer, when we talk about visualization, that's what prayer is. It's not begging and pleading some entity in the sky. It's not doing that. I don't know where that came from, but that was never the intention of what you were supposed to do. What you were supposed to do is close your eyes and have faith in things that are unseen as if they were seen, to actually embody the state of having the thing. That's why Jesus went around and told people like, hey, you're healed. Like, he saw them as the state. He was able to speak the end state, and they changed into the end state. They didn't. There wasn't any like delay. So it's biblical in principle when you're talking about that stuff. We're talking about the O stuff. That's a different story. The O stuff, depending on how you use it, is skirting a little bit into what some would refer to as witchcraft. Although witchcraft is biblical, because Solomon was the greatest sorcerer on earth. Oh. Do you go live often? I mean, I haven't. I think I'm going to do it more often after this point, because it seems like people, if you enjoy it, let me know in the chat here. Make a comment so I know if I should do this again, because this is my second live that I've done here on the channel. I do love live. Like, live conversations are something that I'm liking a lot. It's something that I'm going to have inside of the community as well. I'm going to have more lives inside of there. I'll make the announcement and open it up midway through this month. I think I might make my announcement for what I'm launching in addition to the community on November 15th. That's the day. How cool is your house? I mean, the house is pretty cool. I'll probably give you guys a tour of the space around. It's right now I'm actually we're staying at my SP's mother's farm out here. We're actually looking for a new house out here, so we're house hunting. I want something with a lot of land. This property, if I'm not mistaken, has about 2 acres. 2 acres. It's either 1.5 or 2 acres. I need to double check. But it's a lot of land, so we get to walk around. They used to have the horses on this property, so we got a whole bunch of animals. Got like 2 pigs. We got chickens, guinea fowl, whole bunch of dogs, cats all over the place. So it's pretty cool. It's a lot of space, so we get to walk around, which is great with the baby. We love walking around outside with the baby. It's always fun. It's beautiful. We love it here. Deborah, have been manifesting SP for over a year. Jeez. Sometimes feels like it's not moving at the speed I want. Contact not as much as I'd like. Dates. Any advice? His dad died half a year ago. Like, what else did you say? Like, they, it doesn't let me see the rest of your message, Deborah, but I'll give you the thing. Ask yourself, what have you not changed in your thinking? And usually when I do sessions with people, I can figure out what's the problem, like what's the deeper issue, because there's usually something that's unseen. There's an unconscious pattern that goes on, and the reason why it's unconscious is because it's not at the conscious attention. And when we bring that issue to conscious attention and we heal that pattern, we release any of the trauma or the emotional block that's associated with it, people start changing and acting differently. Whether it's an SP or somebody at your job or a boss or a client that you can't stand, if you really, like, take a moment and really think about it. This person is acting like this. Ask yourself this question and be honest. Is this the first time that this has happened? And it doesn't need to be with this person. It doesn't even need to be in this same context. Ask yourself, is this the first time that this energy or this type of exchange or this type of relationship or this type of thing has happened? Because it may be a pattern that's replaying in your relationships. Like, think about your other relationships. Like all your other situationships, all your other boyfriends and girlfriends or your divorces or anything like that. Think back. Is this a similar thing that's happened before? Doesn't need to be exactly the same, but is it similar? Energy-wise, like context-wise. Because whenever we have a pattern of something that happens, we'll notice that if you think back on it, it's the pattern that's happened again and again and again and again. When I had to heal a problem that was going on with my my business, one of the things that I looked at, I was like, huh, okay. And this is the unconscious side, because it's unseen. I was unconscious, and then I made myself conscious of it, where I was thinking back to, I was like, I don't like this client. Why don't I like this client? What's the problem with this client? Why do I feel this way? And I was like, wait a minute. I feel uncomfortable with sending invoices right now. Why did I feel uncomfortable sending invoices? Because I didn't feel like I did enough stuff. There was something that was uncomfortable, like in working with them. It wasn't as fun. There was some difficulty, some friction that would happen, and it would unfold in this like unhappy sort of situation. And almost like, and then it would be unsatisfying. Like the end of the relationship would be unsatisfying. And I was like, well, let me go back. Let me think about it. And then I started thinking about it. I was like, wait a minute. That happened in that business relationship, and that business relationship, and that business relationship, and that business relationship. And as far back as I could go, I was like, oh my gosh, this is a pattern that has continued throughout my whole career. I was like, I don't want to do that anymore. I want people to be satisfied. I want satisfaction in the business stuff that's going on. I want the people that work with me to be happy, to be joyous, to talk about the work that we've done, and to be like, he's amazing, he's wonderful, I love to work with him, I want to work with him again, he was great, it was amazing. And once I did that, once I made that decision, I was like, well, let me find out what the core of this is and where this happened. And I realized, oh, this started with the relationship with my father. I didn't feel the support to go when I would have like with the father. This is how the father would mostly like shows up. I didn't have the push when things would get tough or things would get rough. So like something would happen, something wouldn't like happen or work right. Like there would be an obstacle or an issue, or I would be low energy or something else would happen. And then I wouldn't get the support from my dad to continue doing the stuff, because the father is supposed to be like the second wind or the willpower for you to overcome your previous abilities and the things that you didn't think that you could do before. So if you have a father wound around that, you may be somebody who has who starts things but doesn't finish them, or who buys a course but doesn't read the course, or who starts doing the work but doesn't follow through, or who peters off over time and then starts doing something else and other things come up. That's usually a representation of the father wound in like business and in life. So if that's something that happens, you gotta heal that. So once I did that healing exercise, once I did that, the relationships changed. All the old clients that I had, for some reason or another, disappeared. Oh, thanks, SS Bex. No, SXSS Bex. Thanks for the donation. No question. Just want to say thank you. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you. Appreciate it. I appreciate your thank you. Thank you so much. So back to the emotional part. Once I realized that was an issue and that was what was going on, I was like, oh, let me heal this relationship with my father. So I did the exercise that I call now like the forefathers exercise, where you give love and forgiveness and gratitude to your forefathers. And after doing it, I felt like this huge weight being released from me, because instead of asking them to give to me that stuff, I gave it to them. I gave it to myself and I gave it to them. And by going through this process, I felt love. I felt accepted. I felt like I had this new energy, and I charged up my like solar plexus, and I was like, I feel really good. Like things haven't changed just yet, but I feel really good, and I feel like I need to share this with other people. So I started sharing it with clients. And I was like, I don't know what's going to happen. I feel completely different myself. Let's try it out and see what happens with you. So I did it with a client. 2 days after it, well, the third day, 2 days after she had a date, she called me. That was on a Sunday. She called me the following Monday. I'm at the playground with my daughter. So we're playing around. There's another family that's there, and the mom's blowing bubbles with her daughter, and my kid's playing with her kid. So I'm like, okay, yeah, you could say. So I get on the phone. I'm like, hey, what's up? What's up, Esther? How you doing? She's like, Ryan, oh, hey, I just wanted to, give you an update because something happened. I'm like, ooh, tell me what happened. She's like, Ryan. So I went on the date. I'm like, ooh, what happened on the date? Tell me what happened on the date. And she's like, well, it was an 8-hour date, Ryan. I was like, 8 hours. 8 hours. It was an 8 hour date. She was like, it was wonderful. He was amazing. He was complimenting me in such a mature way. He was like, you look beautiful and gorgeous. And it wasn't like a crass way of doing it. He was saying it so maturely, and I could tell that he actually, I could feel like he actually cared. We went out to this expensive restaurant, and it was amazing. He took care of everything. He kept asking me, what do you want? Do you want this? Do you want that? Like, oh, hey, would you like an extra drink? We went from one location to another. It was amazing. It was lovely. It was wonderful. He was, I love the way that he parents his children. Oh, and we were so interested in each other, and the conversation flowed so beautifully. And I was like, I like that kind of date. And it was funny because as she's going through this and we're talking about it, I was like, so you felt taken care of and supported, right? And she's like, yeah. I was like, let me ask you a question. If we hadn't done that exercise on Friday, what do you think would have happened on the date? She's like, we wouldn't have even gone to that location. We wouldn't have even gone to that place. I wouldn't have felt comfortable with choosing the expensive place because I chose it. After doing that exercise, I was like, why not? And he loved it. I felt taken care of. I felt supported. Then I asked her, how did you feel during the guided meditation? Supported, loved, taken care of. Interesting. So that was a relationship wise. So she's been dating him and things have been going wonderful. Wonderful to say the least. Every time we hop on our calls during the week for our one-to-one conversations, she's always like, oh yeah, he just left. And circumstances don't matter. She has her sons. He has his kids. Circumstances don't matter. She wanted the relationship. She knew how she wanted to feel. She knew how she wanted to have the relationship. And she needed to work through that experience so that she could feel that love and to repair that masculine relationship. I call the exercise the forefather exercise. It does use Ho'oponopono in the exercise, but how it's structured relates to all the forefathers. So I run that with my clients in the one-to-one session. So if you end up booking any of the one-to-one sessions with me, that's one of the exercises that we run into to help with releasing any blockages that are related to either money or to your relationships, and that's usually uncovered over the course of like asking questions and figuring out like what is there for you. So I tailor it to each person. I'm gonna be making a general version of it that I'm more than likely gonna put on inside of the community, so I can get a couple more testimonials. But people have run through the exercise and they have been boohoo crying. Like I've cried in the process of doing the exercise with people because it's beautiful, and people say that they feel light, they feel connected, they feel supported. And it's like I had one guy, Caleb, he was like, I feel like this old like wound was just scraped out, and I feel light and free finally. I love it. I love the work I do. This stuff is like powerful. I love it. Now that was 2 days after we did the exercise, right? We had another session 2 weeks afterwards. She comes on and she does the payment in full because she's one of my my high ticket clients since I'm helping her with her business. So for people who really want to like accelerate their stuff with their relationships, or they're looking to craft shifts or changes in their business, or you just want to make more money, for those two cases, I do one-to-one coaching, larger packages for those. So she did the payment in full for the remainder, and I asked her, I was like, oh yeah, we were working on money, and I asked her, I was like, hey, what how much money have you made since we did that exercise, because it had been 2 weeks. And she goes through and she starts looking at the numbers. She's calculating. She's like, okay, well, with that, this, $54,086. I was like, excuse me? $54,086. And this was somebody who had already helped before, like with landing like several seven-figure, sorry, not seven-figure. Let me not misquote myself. I helped her with several six-figure grants. So she landed a few six-figure grants, but she wanted to increase the flow of money because she was having issues with the flow of money. But once we did that exercise, she would have money that was supposed to be coming in, because that was her like problem. It's like the energy was there, the stuff was there, the man would be there, but there would be a disconnect between the man. They wouldn't be available, or there was a disconnect with the money. Like somebody was supposed to send the money and they were taking their time. They wouldn't send it. She would have to send invoices, or the money was there and then they would have to go through this whole process, and this one organization would have to wait 14 days for the stuff to process to send it over to her. And I was like, once you do the exercise and you start doing the imaginal acts, now that the exercise has been done, you need to think about having money, and the money will show up. Just imagine the money hitting your account, seeing the money in your account, paying for stuff. Imagine paying for stuff in full. And she did that. And she paid me in full. Which is wonderful and amazing. But the visualizations become a lot easier after you do the exercise and stuff like that, because you've healed the energy pattern and created a new energy pattern. And now when you imagine having money, you now have the energy pattern set up where you can give the energy and receive it back. That's ultimately what I'm doing here with the live. I made more money the last month because I healed the relationship. So now I was able to give energy in the form of videos or lives. And by giving that energy out, I was able to have give out the invitations for people to hop onto one-to-one sessions or do other work with me. And because I was able to do that, some people booked. I didn't even mention it in a lot of videos. Like a lot of videos just have the link in the description for booking sessions, or for the newsletter, or for one of the guides, and people just find their way there and then book. I think I might have only like mentioned in maybe like 2-3 videos, and I had tons of people book because I healed the energy pattern. Every single day, people watch the videos because I'm giving value. I'm talking about this stuff. And because I give first, it's much easier for me to receive. And the relationship is much easier because they've already consumed a lot of stuff. They've already got a lot of foundational stuff. So it's usually just tweaking and giving them tools to help them through their process, or doing guided meditations and visualizations to move the energy. Oh my gosh. When I tell you I love the work that I do. I love it so much. I love seeing somebody come to me in I love seeing somebody come to me in a sad state, and then watch them turn into somebody who's laughing and having fun, and they're finally in a state where like, I believe it. I believe it. Like, we're together. And to see that shift and that change on their face, I get happy and excited. It's so much fun. I love it. And then have them come back with like new manifestations and stuff coming up. It's been wonderful. Oof. Matter of fact, I had a friend and a client and a family member. I went to her wedding in July. I remember when we did the exercises. We were driving from Houston back down to South Florida. We were driving from Texas back to Miami. And I always want to talk about this with family, but it's something that's super uncomfortable. Hey, what's up? What's up, Priya? XSS Best. The one-to-one sessions, they're in the other videos. If you go to any of the other videos I got, they're in there. I haven't put it in the description for here, because this isn't supposed to be a promotional thing. I'm just, giving conversations to people. So if you want to find it, it's If you look in any of the other videos I got, you'll find it in there. It's the Square site, Black Valley Digital, which is the company name. Anyway, yeah, no problem. What the heck was I just talking about? What that happens? I think I was talking about something related to, oh, the wedding. We're driving back from Houston to Miami, and on the drive, I did not want to stop. I did not want to sleep. I'm like just going straight to it. Hairy. But I'll explain why, Steve. There's a reason for hairiness, because it's what hair is actually supposed to be for. On the drive down to Miami, and thank you, Bess, appreciate it. On the drive back down to Miami, we're falling asleep. I'm like dozing off, right? But I'm like, I'm talking to her about stuff because I think we had stopped in New Orleans. New Orleans. We stopped in New Orleans, and I was trading. That's what I was doing that time. I was trading. So I took a couple trades that night before we had to go, and we went to a brunch spot. So I was trading, and I was making, I made a nice little stack. I think I made like $2,000. I probably made like 2K over the course of the morning. I'm like, all right, I'm good for the day. It's a good day. And I'll explain in a second why Harry, Steve. We start driving, and after a while, I started talking to her about manifestation and like, hey, part of the reason why I have like a lot more money coming in is because I'm using these processes, and you could use it for anything that you want. And I know that you want a relationship, so like, you want to get married, right? And she's like, yeah, I want to get married. And she's I think she was late 30s, early 40s. I feel like a bad family member. I forgot how old she was. She's like late 30s, right? Yeah, probably late 30s. And we're talking, and I tell her, okay, what I want you to do is, if you want to get married, I want you to imagine having the ring on your finger. I want you to imagine having the ring on your finger and feeling it and seeing it and feel like you're married and go to sleep in the feeling of you being married. And we just kept talking about it, and I kept explaining to her, I'm like, if you do this, you'll impress in your subconscious mind and you'll be married. Like, it'll happen. You'll find the right person, everything will fall into place, and like, I will love and enjoy being in your wedding. She's like, oh, okay, whatever, all this stuff. Well, I guess I'll try it out. And she's, doing it on the drive, and we're talking about it, and we're getting into it. And I start asking, and one of the things I do with some of my clients is like, I'll do a role-playing thing where it's like, we're having the conversation like it's already done. So instead of you having to visualize it, we're going to talk like it. Like, I'm going to fully embody. I'm going to ask you questions. I'm like, hey, so when's the wedding? Hey, you guys, look, I love the ring. Oh my gosh, that rock is beautiful. And it was so much fun. And going back. I'll check out your comments, Priya. Don't worry. I saw your comment. I'll answer it in a minute. Let me finish the story. So she does that, and forget about it. We go off. She does the exercise, and sure enough, guess whose wedding I went to in July this year? Guess who had that nice little ring on her finger? Guess who I walked up to and said, hey, do you remember when we were on that drive? She kind of like brushed it off, and I'm like, oh, Jesus. You can have anything that you want in your life. And I know that you're probably not going to make the connection between the two. But you know what? I'm happy I was at least able to help you with this. Congratulations. I was so happy for her. I've been waiting for her to get married forever. My grandma's 99 years old. She's been waiting for her to get married for years. finally did it. And it only happened after we sat and had that conversation in the car. She'd gone through relationship to relationship. A lot of them didn't pan out. Something happened. Something got in the way. After she did this, it happened. So for her, how long did it take for her to manifest it? Between manifesting and when it... Between when she did it and when it manifested, I want to say... Actually, I should be able to tell you exactly because I should have it in there. I'm thinking a couple months to maybe like around a year. She didn't put a lot of energy into it. I got one of my clients asking me about if ladybugs landing on them, if that means anything. Yes, it does. It's good luck. Ladybugs landing on you is good luck. When did she get me the plane ticket? Oh man, I see the pic. Oh, matter of fact, I'll show you guys a picture of the ring. Damn, that ring is big as hell. That's the ring. That big ass ring. Whoo! So proud of her. I'm so happy for her. Took about a year. Took about a year for her. She realized that I think it took a few months for her to meet the boyfriend that ended up becoming the husband. And then a few more months for him to propose. And then the rest of the time was waiting and preparing for the actual wedding itself. Weddings are pretty big things, so usually it takes a while to get to the wedding. The proposal didn't take super long, but she needed to find the guy and then build a relationship because she wanted to feel comfortable with him. And she wanted to know that this relationship was going to last. So they actually went to couples counseling. They were already in couples counseling prior to even being engaged, which was like, oof, beautiful, so healthy, so lovely, so wonderful. Yes, like a caveman. That's a caveman or a sage. That's what I'm going for. I'm an emotional mess tonight, and I know I need to refocus. Breathe, Michelle. Breathe, Miss Michelle Mouse. Like, seriously, breathe. When you're in a certain emotional state, it's usually a reflection of the fact that you have lost control of the breath. And if you want to relax, one of the best ways to relax and refocus is to focus on the breath. If you focus on the breath, you'll be good. Deborah, thank you. Thank you, Deborah. Thank you for answering my questions. Any tips on healing would be great, as I do Ho'oponopono and visualizing. Okay, so I'm going to get to you, Deborah, in just a moment. I want to answer Priya because Priya did ask me to answer. All right, thanks. So I commented a little bit twice. What did you say, Priya? What was your first one? I took away your energy. I have treated my girl very badly. I'm 19, she's 20. She's hurt and lost interest in me. How can I fix that? Because I really want my girl back. Well, actually, this will fit with Deborah's. I like both of them. How do I? Okay, I was like, is there a way for me to make this even cooler? Okay, so to answer both of your questions, how do you heal a relationship? Or heal yourself. To heal anything, whether it is yourself or let me put it more specific. If you're trying to heal a relationship, or you're trying to heal your body, you have to heal yourself. Good night, Bess. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Check back tomorrow. I'm gonna make a. Actually, I'm gonna need to make a video channel trailer, and I'm gonna make an announcement that I'll be posting videos regularly on Wednesdays. So Wednesday, either Wednesdays or Thursdays. Which I'll ask you guys. Which days of the week do you think I should post my videos regularly? Wednesdays or Thursdays? Let me know in the chat. So as you guys answer, I will be answering this question on healing. There's nothing that needs to be healed outside of the self, outside of your emotions. If you heal your emotions and you heal the way you think, which means that you're changing, the more drastic the change in your emotions and the more drastic the change in your thoughts, the more drastic the change will be in your life. Everybody's like Wednesdays. They're like, we don't want to wait. It's been enough. When you work to drastically change how you feel, the external circumstances will change and shift, whether it is money, whether it is your relationships or your physical body. All of them will shift and change once you've changed how you are internally, which will be reflected in the self-talk that you have inside of your mind, which will be reflected in what you imagine, the images that play in your mind, which will either be memories or things that you imagine, and the feelings that you habitually feel day in and day out. Okay? What's up, BF Baking? Give you a shout out. I got no problem with shout outs. BFF Baking. Best Friends Forever Baking. Definitely want to check out your channel. Whatever is going on outside, if you are right inside of yourself, it'll heal anything that's going on outside. Your bank account is a reflection. That's why I like the term broke, because it's a really accurate reflection of what's going on. It's not that there's a problem with like you or anything. It just means that you're, as a circuit in society, you're a broken circuit. You're not giving energy out into the world, and that may be for a whole host of different reasons. You might be sad and depressed. You might have like a lot of trauma. You might be fearful of giving. You might fear what's going to happen if people judge you. Like, tons of people fear what happens if you judge you. You want to fear judgment? You think I fear judgment? Scroll up on the comments. You see how many people call me a caveman? It said my hair's too wild. So many people. But that doesn't matter, because I understand and I know if I share this stuff that some people are going to make fun of me. I'm fine with that. That's just a reflection of where they are at and how I'm feeling, actually, and what I'm thinking about. And it gives me a chance to purge any of those thoughts and those feelings, because I already know I need to trim down the beard, and I know I didn't do anything really to my hair, so the curls aren't super defined, so it's just like a big puffy caveman thing going on. But it's not like it bothers me. I just let it move off me, and that's for people who want to post. But for whatever reason, if you feel uncertain or you feel some sort of discomfort, you're probably not contributing out into the world, and you don't feel as though that you're not going to see the reflection of that stuff inside of your bank account, because you'll feel uncomfortable with money if you don't feel as though that you earn the money, but you don't want to earn the money because you don't want to show yourself out in the world. So it's like this catch-22 where it's like I kind of want to do it, but I don't, and I can't. I'm too scared. But I'm broke. And so that's being a broken circuit. That's actually having a broken loop of thought where you'll think one thing and then you're gonna do it, but then you have that old pattern that pops up. Same thing with anything else. If you have a physical ailment in the body, it is a manifestation of a detrimental pattern in the way that you think, in the way that you speak, in the way that you act, in the way that you feel. If you feel negatively, it will manifest in the physical body. My nose. Me doing that may not seem like much to you guys, but it means a lot to me. I've had sinus issues since I was very young. Sinus issues had to do with smothering love. I felt smothered. I felt like I couldn't be myself. And because I felt smothered, it manifested like my smothered feelings in my relationship with like women in my life, and feeling smothered and like I couldn't do things. And like there were problems that were super close to my face, manifested as sinus issues. And it was so bad to the point doctors told me I needed to have surgery on my nose to breathe properly. Like doctors told me, we need to get in there and we need to fix it, because there's like no, they took x-rays. I went to an ear, nose, and throat specialist. They took x-rays. They're like, bro, there's like no air going in there. That's not good. We can go and like zap the inside and do this stuff, and it'd be like, well, I think it was like $6,000 or $8,000. And I was like, I don't really want to zap the inside of my nose. Let me see if I can do this like healing stuff and releasing. And I started dealing with I started doing Ho'oponopono exercises to deal with any of the feelings that were associated with this. So I was bringing up any emotions related to my relationship with my mom, my grandma, the lack of having one of my grandmas, because I have a close and meshed relationship with one of my grandmothers, who was one of the women who raised me, and then the other grandma I only met once in my life. My paternal grandmother, I only met her once. I met her at my parents' wedding. That was it. That's the only time I've ever seen the woman. So obviously I had some issues. Between her, my mom, my grandma, I had some issues. And once I started like doing forgiveness exercises and just allowing myself to sit in the emotions, because that's why people just are constantly scrolling on TikTok and doing all this stuff and feel like they need to do so much and watch so many things and watch Netflix. It's because it's difficult to sit with yourself and sit with your emotions. Yes, it is uncomfortable. I'm telling you, I sat in the discomfort. I sat in negative feelings where it like I felt like I needed to run, and I was like, okay, just sit through it. Ho'oponopono. Thank you. I'm sorry. Forgive me. I love you. Thank you. I'm sorry. Forgive me. I love you. Thank you. I'm sorry. Forgive me. I love you. And I would be processing these emotions, these thoughts, these feelings, all this stuff that would come up, old memories, all these things. When I would think about my nose and I would think about that claw, I was like, these feelings and emotions, I allowed that stuff because I understood that it was part of like feeling like I wasn't getting enough air. And I would be breathing and I'd be like, I can't breathe. I can't bring in, I can't live. I can't continue to live because of this stiflingness. And as I was doing it, stuff started coming up. I started thinking back to my mom and how she gave me the nickname Snuffleupagus. If you remember Sesame Street, the big elephant was always like, hey guys, and all this stuff. She called me Snuffleupagus. So like all of those things. And I remember just her telling me about my allergies and having all of these memories related to like all the things that my mother had said that I just accepted as who I was, because that's who my mom saw me as. And when I had those issues, when I had those problems, that's when I received love. That's when I received her attention, because my mom was a career woman, so she wasn't around. But if I was having issue with breathing or my asthma and stuff, I would be held. I would be tended to, and I would feel like she loves me. My mom's here. And I realized, oh my gosh, those were the times where I got affection, physical affection. Me being physically like having those issues and having those problems brought affection to me, the love that I needed. And that was the only time that I felt like I would get affection, as if I had those problems. And I was like, that's not true. I am worthy of love. I do not need something to be wrong with me to be worthy of affection, to be touched. My mom had dealt with her own stuff and she was available when she was, but I'm worthy of love and affection. And I'm thank you, Mom, for everything that you did. I am sorry for any negativity and resentment that I may have felt to you and my unconsciousness in creating this. Please forgive me. I love you. I take this emotion. I take all of these emotions to my body, because that's what you're doing with Ho'oponopono. You're taking in those negative feelings, those negative emotions, and you are transmuting that. You're forgiving yourself, you're releasing it, and you're letting it go in love. You transmute whatever emotion, whatever memory, whatever comes up, you're taking it and you're turning it into love and you're sending it out. And that's healing. That is healing. And once I did that, I was like, oh, huh. I could breathe. And as I continued doing the exercises, the layers, my nose opened more, I would have like boohoo crying sessions doing those things because I was releasing and letting go of so much. And when I did it, sure enough, I could breathe. Sinus issues disappeared. You can ask my SP or any person that knows me. Any person that knows me knows that was an old pattern that I had. Not anymore. The relationship's completely different. Because I healed that. I dealt with that. I dealt with my own stuff. I created it and I was like, hey, I might have created this unconsciously. I'm not going to blame anybody. I'm not going to be mad at my mom or my grandma for it or my other grandmother for it. I'm going to deal with it myself and I'm going to give them love. They love me the best that they could. And any resentment or anger or anything that I feel towards them needs to be resolved. Same thing happens for any relationships that you're having. If there's an issue with your relationship, if you've hurt somebody, understand that you've hurt somebody because you've been hurt. Usually it's because there's resentment or anger and a feeling and the need for revenge. That's one of the big ones that I don't think anybody's ready to have that kind of conversation. Because after a certain period of time of having a relationship, there are little slights and little things that another person will do which will build up resentment over time and anger. And when we explode or have like this explosive thing where we hurt the other person, usually it's because we feel a sort of justification in doing it, like cheating or getting angry at a person or like fighting and all this stuff. All these things happen to be like they happen to be expressions of this anger of feeling wrong. And if you express it out like that, it's going to be dangerous and it's going to hurt the other person. And it's a cycle of hurt and pain, which is why Ho'oponopono and forgiveness is such a powerful process, because what you're doing is you're taking negative emotions, negative feelings, all these negative vibrations into your body, because they're already there. They already exist. And you're saying, thank you for bringing these things to me. To you, to me. Thank you. Whoever brought this to my attention, whether it was my mom, my girlfriend, my ex-wife, my ex-husband, ex-boyfriend, whoever. Thank you for bringing this to my attention and being a mirror that lets me know that this energy exists in my field. I am sorry for being unconscious in the creation of it. I, not the me, not your name, not Deborah, not Priya, not Bess, not Krishna, not Michelle, nobody. The I am, the formless awareness, the listener, the hearer inside of you is saying, I am sorry for creating this. Your personality may have not created, but the I did. The I created this vibration, this wave, this negativity, this thought wave, this emotion in the physical space. I am sorry for being unconscious in the creation of it. I am taking responsibility for my creation. Forgive me. This is what we're doing. That's why we, the teacher of the Ho'oponopono, the Hawaiian teacher who popularized it, he was talking about clearing out data and cleaning data, because what you're actually doing is you're accepting the data, you're accepting the feelings, the images, whatever's associated with it. You're taking responsibility. You're saying, I'm sorry for being unconscious in the creation of this thing. Forgive me to the higher power. You're saying, hey, I created this. Again, not you as in the personality, your name, but the formless awareness behind the face. Between the eyes, behind the eyes and between the ears, the listener. That was the one that created it. I created it. I am sorry. Forgive me for my creation. I am now taking this, I'm taking responsibility for this, and now I'm changing this into love. I love you. So where most people would naturally respond with the same emotion, where if somebody wronged me and act angrily at me, I'm going to say, oh wait, of course they did this. I created it, so I'm not going to give it back to them. I'm not going to allow this to continue to exist in the physical space. I'm going to transmute this into love, and that's what I'm going to give to the other person. And that's one of the things that helped me in the relationship with my SP, was she did stuff where naturally I could have retaliated. The natural mind, certain things that she did and certain things that she said, the natural mind would be like, get back at her, hurt her, do that. And I was like, no, I understand why she feels this way. I understand why, where it entered into her life, where this became a pattern. I understand where I contributed to it and how I made her feel this way. And now she's acting that way towards me because she feels that it's justified. She's expressing her anger. She's giving me back the same energy. I am going to say, thank you for bringing this to my attention. I am sorry for being unconscious in the creation of this. Forgive me. Forgive me for my creation. I love you. And for any person who does something wild, crazy, and wrong, when they're confronted with not anger, not animosity, or neediness, but love, it breaks logic. They don't know what to do with that. It's like, what? I slapped you and you say you love me? You turn the other cheek? Why? Because I understand. It's okay. I love you. When you do that, that moment is a healing moment. Because they're feeling loved. They feel understood. You've expressed compassion for the person. So in relationships, when you wronged another person, you'll understand that after doing this process, they will more than likely try to wrong you or do something that makes you mad or makes you angry or hurts you. And then if you're able to do the Ho'oponopono process, you heal the relationship because now you're just pouring love into that person. And that's what they need. They need love and understanding. And when you do that, regardless of if the person's in the physical space or not, they feel it. Keeves, what's up? Welcome. Yeah, that's a powerful thing. So that's what I would say for healing. So everybody said Wednesday. After a year, well, clearly I'm doing something wrong. Yeah, so the healing is an important part of the process. So healing any resentment that you have in the relationship is a great way to move things forward. Remember that Geico ad? Where oh, you're hilarious. You're hilarious, Dio. Yeah, I do make sure that my stuff is conditioned. Although the hair, it's supposed to be like, the curls are way more defined when it's like really, really properly conditioned. Today is just like, it's a little bit more puffy. And I'm going to be trimming down the beard. I got to get the beard cleaned up. Dead Fiend. I'd love to provide value and service to the world. Just thinking about the how. Okay, actually, that's a good thing. How. Well, what I can tell you is how you can figure out what your how is. Which is going to be another one of my videos. But I guess I'm a little bit more hesitant because I know that most people who are currently on the channel right now are mostly here for relationships. So, but when you're talking about the how for giving service to other people, you gotta think about yourself and your feelings. If you have a high degree of self-awareness of yourself, if you have a high degree of self-awareness, like you know the things you like, you know your passions. Easiest thing to do to figure out what your how is to give service is to do Eastern exercises like the Ikigai, which is where you're finding the cross-section between what you love to do, what you're good at, and what the world needs, which is like Ikigai. You find the thing that's right in between all those things, and that's what you're supposed to do. There are a couple of other pillar exercises where you're like, oh, I like doing this, I like doing this. I actually like talking about something completely different. So you guys are going to get a preview of the video I'm going to be working on for this. I think, especially for younger people who are not aware of all the things that they could do, and they want a starting point, I believe that people should be studying like esoteric systems, so like astrology, Chinese very specifically, these four areas: numerology, Western astrology, Chinese astrology, and human design. Those four things. If you want to figure out the how of the type of work that you should be doing in your life, whether it's a job or career, and you don't know where to start, I want you to either go to ChatGPT. You can go to ChatGPT or Claude AI, ChatGPT, after going to search up each of these things and figure out how to calculate your stuff. You can ask ChatGPT this. Figure out what your life path number is for numerology. You already know what you are more than likely in terms of Western astrology. Most people know what that is. That's based on your birth month, that period. Chinese astrology is based on the year. So Chinese astrology is a slightly bigger pattern. So think of like Western astrology as like a minute hand, like 30 minutes, 5 minutes. Chinese astrology is like an hour, or the time of day, like the hour during the day. So it gives you a little bit more information about like the overall pattern for yourself. And then human design, which is like a nuanced system that includes like energy systems and how things work. If you go through those four and you figure out, you could search up human design. There's like my human design chart. If you just search up human design chart on Google, you'll find a human design chart calculator. Western, your Chinese astrology is pretty easy. You just got to find out the year. Just figure out the year, what year you were born, and you can ask ChatGPT all these questions. Ask what, of course, find out what your Western astrology is, and then find out your numerological life path. Once you do that, you'll have the patterns, and you'll find overlaps in the patterns of things associated with the type of business that would work for this type of person, or the type of business, the industries that work, and the services or products, or how you should do the work. So for me, I started learning about myself and the type of work I should do prior to learning these systems. And I've got a really interesting background where I've spent a lot of time in speaking in one way or another. Speaking has always been a thing for me. So I ended up working as the program manager for a coding and startup nonprofit. I was one of their lead instructors. I started as a social media assistant. Then I started doing, I was an assistant instructor, then became a lead instructor. Then I became the program manager that oversaw the programs. But all of the stuff that I did was really highly related to speaking. And I worked with a lot of different people. I worked with teens, I worked with kids, I worked with adults, senior citizens, teaching them coding. Teaching them coding, teaching them building businesses. So I worked with a lot of people. And one of the things I had to do with people was like help them with career decisions, because I had a lot of teens that would have to help them figure out what kind of business they should build, or if they should build a business at all, or help them figure out like what kind of work that they should do. So I spent a lot of time with a lot of kids. I've taught personally probably like around, I want to say like 4,000 people over my career, like personally, like in classrooms, because I used to teach classrooms of like 30 to 50 people at a time. It was like packed, jam-packed. And I did that for years. Loved it. Before I ever did any of this stuff on the YouTube channel. And that was one of the issues. Like a lot of the kids just didn't know about themselves. They didn't know a lot about themselves or what they liked. So I got really good at like asking them questions to figure out more of their passions, what they enjoy. And because I just had a really wide experience with like different industries, because I worked in the startup world, so I was in industries related to sports and all these other things. I had a wide breadth of experience where I could be like, have you thought about this field? You should check out this field, or this thing, or that thing. And as I started my spiritual journey, it was interesting because I started noticing patterns with certain types of kids or certain types of people. And as I like mentioned different fields, they're like, you know what, I didn't think about that, but I think that would be a lot of fun. And usually the things I would recommend to them would be related to what they really enjoyed and what they really liked to do. And for me, I had already figured out the stuff that I liked was related to like speaking. Speaking always became like the easiest thing for me to do. It was the thing that created a disproportionate amount of money for me. Whether it was speaking, teaching or crafting programs, and selling them or getting supported by like huge grants or organizations to put on these big programs that would be multi-week, multi-month, multi-year programs. That was like my bread and butter. That's what I'm really good at. It's like crafting instructional design for those kinds of things, right? And it's not like I consciously thought that that was the path that I wanted to go down, but it was just the stuff that worked out really well for me. Once I started studying different systems, this kind of like lined up really well with the work that I did that worked really well. Because I always did work that also didn't fit and jive with me. And once I started studying this, I'm like, oh, that makes a lot of sense why it doesn't work. So to give you guys an understanding, I am a 3 life path. I am a Capricorn, water rooster in Chinese zodiac, and I am a manifesting generator in human design. What do all these mean? So 3 life path. So this is how it relates. 3 life path will let you know like your major energy based on the date that you were born, and like how your energy is expressed and what stuff you feel most comfortable doing. And it dictates like how you interact with other people, yourself, and the world. So for 3 life paths, surprise, surprise, 3, you look at lips, when you look at them inside profile, make a symbol that looks similar to a 3. 3s are expressive, they're artists, they're creators, they're people who are like very well versed in expression and communication. So 3 life paths are typically people who do things related to mouth and expression. So artists, they make very good songwriters, they make very good, a lot of people who are 3 paths happen to be in broadcast and journalism, content creators, podcasters. I think I probably said podcasters already. But they're people who are related to language in some way, shape, or form. That's the type of work that they feel most suited for because it's the easiest thing for them to do. So 3 life path. I'm a Capricorn, which means I'm a stellium. So like a Capricorn stellium. So most of my chart is Earth. So I like building structures and teaching people things. And I like sharing structures and keeping things really grounded. And I find it very easy to take very airy ideas and ground them in the physical reality with something that makes sense. That's what I enjoy doing. I've done that since I was a child. Then we move over to water rooster. As a water rooster, roosters are caw-caw-caw. They like to be loud, they like to be boisterous, they like to be out there. So careers that work really well with roosters are careers related to language. They're really good in the suit and tie trade, so they're good at like running. They're really good at running retail businesses. I did do retail. I did very good at retail. I was freaking fabulous at retail. I was a fantastic freaking salesman. Whew. Still a great salesman. Love doing it. And there were a couple other positions like being a diplomat and stuff like that, and lawyer. So things related to language. And I was like, oh, all these things on this list that I found, I was like, oh, these are all things that I would really enjoy. So also being an instructor and a professor, naturally, it's just what I do. It's fun. And then finding out the stuff under being a manifesting generator. Manifesting generators are not people who are who just do stuff. We're supposed to respond. If we talk about the life theme for manifesting generators, it's shortcuts to mastery. So when it comes to business, the best things for manifesting generators to do is to get frustrated, to figure out ways to do things better, and to share that with the world. And they work really well at marketing that's based around provocative questions and Q&A, which is why I'm doing Q&A. Doing workshops and selling courses and things where they get to consult and talk with people, and talking being the main thing that they do with people. And also writing also fits in that place. So when I looked back at my career, it's funny because all of the overlaps of things that I did the best were all based around my skills. Marketing, which is using language. I was always really good at storytelling, about having conversations with people, asking them questions, and pulling the genius out of my clients and being like, this is what you should be putting in your marketing. I don't know what the hell you've been putting in there, but this is genius. Listen to these words. This is what you said. This is how I would frame it. And they're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And I'm like, yeah, Share that with the world. Watch what happens. I take concepts and like give people shortcuts to things, and now they go off and do shortcuts, and it works really well for them. If I did stuff that was outside of language, I struggled. It didn't feel right. It didn't feel fun. I felt like it was rough, and I was putting in my effort and energy, and that's why I would be in situations where things wouldn't go well with clients, and that was usually if I was not doing a primarily language-based thing. So like I can do graphic design, I can do video editing. It is not my favorite thing. It is not by no means. So I can do the talking, I can do a live, I can do a presentation, I can write my articles, I can do all that stuff. But if I got to do the video editing, them videos are going to take a while to get And whenever I've had really good partnerships, it's because I've delegated all the other tasks that are not related to the stuff that I do well, and I give them to other people. So if there needs to be a front face for somebody to go on stage and to give a presentation, I'm great at that. If it needs to have a sales conversation and I need to negotiate with people and I need to ask questions, I'm great at that. If we need to come up with marketing materials and stuff like that, I'm great at that. That's what I enjoy. That's what I'm best at. And if I put my time and energy into that, I have the most fun and I could do it. It's already been 160 minutes. I can go for hours and hours after this. Why? Because it's what I enjoy. It's what I love. It works really well for me. So, if I were to talk to my younger self, I would have told my younger self, yo, figure out your human design, figure out your Chinese zodiac, your Western zodiac, and your numerology, and figure out, look at the list of things, the careers, the businesses that fit for these types of people, and then look for the overlaps. Use that as an opportunity to say, oh, I could do this. And then figure out what business models allow you to work on that thing. And if you do that, it works really well. So for me, stuff that works really well is creating content, videos. It's speaking engagements, doing talks, coaching and consulting, which means I could just tell people stuff. I can synthesize information and give them shortcuts so that they get their results faster, whether that's relationship or making money. And if I do that, and that's what my deliverables are, I do fantastic. If I don't, then it doesn't work. It doesn't work. So for people who are trying to figure out the how of what you want to do, figure out those 4 concepts, ask ChatGPT, do your calculations, figure out what your human design is, figure out what your water zodiac, your Chinese zodiac is, your Western zodiac, and your numerology, and then ask ChatGPT to give, or just Google and find out what are the careers that fit for this person, what is the type of work that suits this kind of person, and what are the types of businesses that suit this kind of person. And then figure out, once you figure that stuff out, you should find or figure out what would work best for you. You'll find stuff that calls to you specifically. I'm going to breathe. It's silly because reacting to the 3D about SP not contacting me, but I need to act as if, period. Yeah, that's one thing that's really funny is like when people like have an emotional reaction to somebody not messaging you, it's like, go do something else. If you think about being in a relationship, you're not always talking to that person. And it's actually really important. If you really want to manifest somebody, you really do need to spend time not talking to them. It's an important point of like manifesting them. Like if you're fantasizing about somebody and you're thinking about laying around with them and snuggling in bed and feeling like rubbing your legs up against them and snuggling up at them while you're watching your favorite show together and smelling how they smell, do you really want to get that interrupted with a text? No, you're like in it. People need to have space away from you so that they can spend time just like fantasizing about you. They can't fantasize about you if you're talking to them. And if you want to have a powerful relationship and powerful attraction, you got to let the other person like yearn for you. So if you don't talk to them, you give them the chance to yearn. If you do your imaginal acts, you're planting the seed and sending out the energy. They're receiving the broadcast. Give them some time to like fantasize and be like, oh man, I really want to talk to Michelle. Oh man, dang. I forgot how Michelle look in that dress. Michelle in that sundress. Something like that. They're gonna think that. Just let them think that. Give them some time. Can I miss my SP while missing them, or do I need to be completely over it and welcome them back? I tend to dwell on my mistakes, and actually think I've manifested them leaving. You did manifest them leaving, and if you keep thinking about them leaving, or dwelling on the mistakes, you're going to keep manifesting the mistakes. You have to cleanse your thoughts. You have to cleanse your karma, because that's what your thinking is. You know, you can't stop thinking. You always are thinking. So those are your thoughts. Your thoughts are your karma. Congratulations. Your thoughts are your own doing. Karma means your own doing. So anything that you imagine or think of is your own doing. So it shows up in your world around you because you've already thought it and imagined it. So if you keep thinking and imagining your mistakes, congratulations, you're adding that back into your karma, so it's got to come back again. The same type of feeling, the same type of thoughts. So all of the manifestation exercises that people do are ultimately to replace and overwrite your previous thinking with new thinking and new feelings, so that you're able to produce something new. You have to do it enough to create a brand new pattern in yourself first, and then the external thing happens. It has to be internal first. So even if you're confronted with the opposite thing outside, you have to maintain that feeling inside. If you maintain that feeling and maintain that note, ah, it's like singing a high note in a song. Ah, you have to keep singing. Ah, doesn't matter what anybody's doing in the audience, you still sing. Ah, don't let them break your concentration. And if you keep singing, ah, everybody's gonna stand up and give you a round of applause. And the round of applause is you being in your relationship. Yeah, I'm worthy of being chosen and prioritized. We'll do Ho'oponopono. Yeah, Ho'oponopono will help out a lot. Yeah, and Krishna is also correct. You're never actually doing anything wrong. It's always part of your process. This is always your process to learn, to uncover, and ultimately, all of these things, I always see them as valuable. They're stories. And if life just unfolded the way that we exactly wanted, we wouldn't have any like adventures. It wouldn't be fun. It'd be boring. We want life to have mistakes and things that seem bad, because then we have good stories to share with our significant other, with our like family member. Like me and my SP, like earlier today, she came up and she was like, "Hey, you remember when we lived in a garage? It wasn't the most beautiful thing. It wasn't a, but actually, to be honest, that garage was freaking nice. We lived in a garage efficiency. It was a 2-car garage that got converted into a really freaking nice efficiency, with like a separate bedroom in there and a bathroom with a super nice shower, and it had this seating area and kitchenette, full fridge, all this stuff, and like a walkway that led out into like this little patio area. And it was made really nice because the owner initially was going to move out of her house into the efficiency and rent out her house, but she listed the efficiency, and we were the first people that went to it, and it was gorgeous because it was freshly done, and we were like, we'll take it, and we took it. It was super high ceilings. I love the high ceilings in there, but it was a garage, so it wasn't a type of place that you would brag about. But it was really nice. It was super sweet and really quaint, and it was a nice, funny little experience. We got our little place there. It was fun. It was enjoyable. It was our little time there. And then later on, we ended up going and living in our nice luxury 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment in South Florida, which is super nice. Yeah, don't worry about the time. Time just makes your story that much better, and the deliciousness of getting what you want 1,000 times better. When he takes long, I show him love and support. I turn the cheek, but anyway, it ain't easy. Friends think I'm crazy and being taken advantage of. Well, I mean, you gotta rest and relax and know that things are okay. Okay. If I'm not hearing from my SP, is it part of me not being chosen? I think I mentioned he was my friends with benefits, but oof. Decided I wanted him as my hubby. However, he ended our situation. Okay. I get to talk about the stuff that's uncomfy. Cool, awesome. All right. The first thing to ask yourself is, why would I decide to have a friends with benefits in the first place? And this will illuminate like some of the emotions and feelings and why you're having the distance from your specific person. Because and here's one thing that I want to share with people. It's what I've noticed in myself is, and in clients that I've worked with. So I'll talk with that experience. And if it fits you, then fine. What I've noticed is that when people end up in situationships or friends with benefits, it's usually a reflection of unworthiness and lack of belief. A lack of belief in what? A lack of belief that there is an ideal person for you, a life partner that exists. Or you believe that this person does exist, this perfect person for you, but there's something wrong with you. If you're a woman, I'm not beautiful enough. Why would he want to be with me? I'm not the type of woman that he would want to marry. And these may not come up in your conscious mind, but these are subconscious feelings like, I am not good enough. Why would he want to be with me? Why would anybody want to be with me? This is the only thing that I have to offer. There's something. There's got to be some girl that's more beautiful, that's better than me. It's going to come out in some way, shape, or form like that. Where it's a feeling of, why would my perfect guy want to be with me? And what will usually happen is that people, for men, it's like, I just want women. I just want to do it. I just want to do it. Because the healed, what I've noticed is a healed person or person who desires to heal will move towards wanting a life partnership, whether it's their husband or their wife. And that takes a certain degree of like self-work to get to that point. But it's like you realize, oh, wait a minute, I don't want to just do it. I don't want to have sterile, I don't want to say it because I don't know what's going to happen to life if I do. But like, I don't want to have like, I don't want to do it sterilely. I don't want to blow a load into a bag. No, I want to feel someone. I want to feel like I completely let go with this person. Like I can trust them, and I can finally move into a new state with this person. Because that's ultimately what happens in those types of relationships, is that people move and you're with somebody that you are finally ready to make the transition in your identity with, is to move across the threshold of being a girlfriend into a wife, into a woman, from a woman into a mother, from a man into a husband, and from a man into a father. And that's a scary threshold, because once you cross that threshold, there's no going back. Once you become a parent, you're a parent. There is no going back. And that crossing of the threshold is a painful one. There's a cost associated with it. So you want to make sure that the person that you go through is somebody that you are willing to have a long-term connection with. Somebody who can support you in the dreams that you want for your life. And what I've noticed in myself and like people that I've worked with and talked about with this is like, people will settle. They'll settle for what they think they can get, which is usually just a friend with benefits, or girlfriend that they know that they don't want to be with, or boyfriend that they know isn't their husband. And each person that they use to combat loneliness, to combat depression, to just feel affection, feels like please at least be happy with me with this. Like, you want to use your body to at least get them to be satisfied with you, because that's the only way that you know you can get somebody to be like proud of you, to be there, to give you affection. That's a sad place to be in. And it really does spring forth from our relationship with our parents, because our parents are the first and the only people who give us physical affection, words of affirmation, and gifts and love without wanting anything in return, just for our own happiness. They love us for our own sake, or they're at least supposed to. And after a certain point, after you reach a certain age, it stops. You don't get kisses from your dad or your mom. You don't get hugs from them. You're cut off from affection. And the only thing that you have is just the feeling of the cold world, of your car, of your couch, of your desk chair in your bed, in the toilet. And to feel the cold hardness of the world, like, over time that takes a toll on people. And all we want is to feel the warmth and softness of another human being. To touch and to be touched. To feel and to be felt. And the sad thing is, a lot of people think that they're only good enough for being touched and being there for one night. That they're not good enough for somebody to want to stay around and to be with them. If you're settling with friends for benefits, friends with benefits, and situationships and relationships where your person isn't talking to you, it's usually a reflection of that. Like, you don't feel worthy of it. You want it, you desire it, but it's like, why would somebody love me? Why would somebody want to be with me? If the people who made me won't give me that love, why would a stranger want to give that to me? When you confront that, and you deal with that fear, that pattern, and you realize that it's not that there's anything wrong with you, it's that your parents did the best with what they were given. That's how they were treated. And when you give them forgiveness and love, and receive forgiveness and love from them, you open yourself up to receive love in the way that you truly deserve, because you've already experienced it. You've already experienced love in the act of forgiveness and giving them love and feeling that come back to you, which is what we do in like my guided meditation. Once you do that, it's much easier to create the feeling of being in that loving relationship, because you've forgiven them and you've forgiven yourself, and you're like, you know what? I do deserve to be married. I do deserve to be with this perfect person. And then you begin to imagine and see yourself in this relationship and feel like you're cherished and treasured. to feel like you're respected and honored. You feel like, I deserve to be in this kind of relationship. And then you don't, it's no longer like this person has to do it. It's like, no, I feel this way, and someone's going to recognize it, and somebody's going to recognize me as that character, as that person, somebody who's worth it, and they're going to give it to me. Because I've already seen it, and I'm already thankful for it. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Why? Because I felt it already. Because I felt her arms on my shoulders. Because I felt his hand hold my face. Because I've been cradled in their arms. Because I've cradled them in my arms. Because I've done that. I know it's already done because I know what it feels like. And if I felt how it feels, I know that there's someone out there who wants to feel that too. And I can't wait to meet that person. And it may be my specific person or someone else. I just know it's going to be amazing, because in the imagining of it, it felt wonderful. And I thank consciousness, I thank God that I was given the gift to feel this feeling. When you do that, 3D doesn't matter. You've given yourself the gift. You got what you wanted. And then everything just kind of like falls into place. It's like beautiful. It's perfect. Yeah, you're the prize. Oh my gosh, it's 2 a.m. there. Oh, bye, Deborah. I know you probably already left. But yeah. And Kita. What to do? I'm persisting, but sometimes fear pop up, and my boyfriend is on break with me, but we are in contact. Um, when you have any of those fears, just understand that it's an old thing that's coming up to be processed. You can either put your attention onto it or allow it to be released. So if you allow it to be released, and understand that it's okay for these things to come up. It's okay for you to think about them and feel them. It is not okay for you to continue to persist in those thought processes and to continue to feel those feelings. Once you release them and you let them go, then you open yourself up to new things. So it's, hey, I recognize this, and I'm going to withdraw my attention from it and put my focus over here. And when you do that, once you practice that with persisting, you're just taking your attention off the other thing and putting it into the other thing. It's going to get easier and easier to keep it on the positive. And over time, gradually, you get to the point where it's just so freaking easy for you to think of the positive thing that the negative things just stop coming up as much. And you become thankful, and this is where it's a clear sign of change. When you become thankful for the negative thing because you know it's a sign and that you're moving in the right direction to learn something new about yourself. Thank you, Keeps. You're giving all the some good stuff to everybody here in the chat. Oh gosh, can I do the meditations? Probably put together a video for it because it's like it's a whole process. If I end up doing the meditations, we're gonna be here for like a whole nother hour because that's how long they usually take. When a person begins manifesting for the first time, can the SP feel or does it take time? So here's the interesting thing. If you are powerful in your emotions and your feelings and you're thinking about somebody, they feel it. They feel it. The issue that people have is that they will do the imaginal act or they'll do the process and then stop, which means that the person will have like a brief flash of the powerful feeling and the powerful thought, and then they stop. They don't do the process enough to become an obsession in the person's mind. You got to broadcast the signal for long enough for the person to pick up on it and for it to build into a pattern inside of them. Just like you, if you're obsessed with somebody, it didn't just happen once. You didn't just think about them once. You thought about them. You watched videos. You watched their photos. You kept thinking about them. You started imagining spending time with them. You started thinking about going out to dinner with them, hanging out, putting your feet underneath their legs while you hang out on the couch watching Peaky Blinders on Netflix, or or watching your favorite anime. You just get into it, and the more you do that, the more it just like builds up until you have like this whole imagined relationship that's going on in your head. So whenever you're thinking about them, you just have these feelings associated with this person. You got to let the other person build that up. So when you are manifesting them, that's what's actually going on. You are broadcasting that, they're picking it up, and if you continue to broadcast it for long enough, they become obsessed. They can't get you out of their head. They start feeling like, oh, I got to talk to her. So I hope that helps, Carla. I don't know why I chose this, and I am definitely working on that too. I believe I'm worthy and loved. I'm chosen for it all. I also do Ho'oponopono meditations, along with believing I'm healed from many things. Thank you. Awesome. Hey, Carolina. Welcome. Aedro, thank you, man. Oh, I'm glad your logo class. Man, enjoy your yoga class, man. Oh, I hope you enjoyed your yoga class because you already did the session and all that stuff. This funny. Oh, thank you, thank you. I was going for the Gandalf look and feeling. So actually, yeah, let's go off questions. Anybody got any questions on manifesting relationships? You got any specific relationship questions or money making questions? Because I haven't done a lot of the money making videos, because those are like the fun stuff. Oof, I love the money making stuff. That's where I get into it. Oh, somebody actually asked your subliminals. Yes, 100%. Carolina, great question. 100%. I think everybody should use subliminals. Subliminals are great. They're wonderful. They're amazing. I use them ritualistically. I really do suggest most people do them because they work. Any system that you're using is fundamentally doing one thing. It is changing your consciousness and then building a pattern in your consciousness through repetition. That is all any of the processes are doing. Whether you're doing Neville Goddard's processes with meditations and seeing those things, whether you're doing robotic affirmations, you're doing mantra, subliminals, all these things are reading books too. All these things are ultimately looping the thoughts over and over and over again until it builds a pattern inside of the body that attracts. You have to build like an energy pattern in the body that's like you're charging an energy machine, and now the stuff gets sucked into your life and manifests in your life because you already have the essence of it inside of you. So when you're doing subliminals, you usually do this with either images or language and feelings, one of the three. That's like the three that most people do. Images, or things that you actually see, so your sight. The words, which will usually be self-talk or words in any form or shape. And feelings. If you loop any of these things and do them over and over and over again, they will affect the other ones. Your imagined images will affect the thoughts that you have in your head and your feelings. The feelings that you have will affect the thoughts that you have inside of your head or the images that you're able to imagine. The thoughts, the words that you say to yourself are going to affect the feelings that you have and the emotions. They all affect each other. It's like a trifecta. If you alter or loop something in any one of them, it'll affect the other two, because it's like a cause and effect process. They cause and affect all of them. So subliminals are loops of words that you hear again and 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 again until it builds a pattern inside of yourself where it begins to alter the things that you think about, the things that you see, and the things that you imagine, and it alters the way that you feel, which will ultimately alter the physical world around you, what's happening around you, because you're going to think differently, you're going to act differently. So If you want to build something in your life, you want something, find subliminals that are a reflection of this. That's why one of the things I'm going to add on to the channel that I have not yet, and I've been saying it, but I need to do it, is adding guided meditations and subliminals onto the channel because they work. They work on the same principle. You just repeat it, the stuff again and again and again, and you get the action. So when it came to relationships, I've used subliminals for relationships. I've used subliminals in relationships to alter the relationship, to make the relationship a reflection of what I wanted. If I wanted better intimate and more wild intimate moments with my partner, subliminals, baby. And guess what? It altered the stuff. If I wanted to attract a relationship, subliminals helped in that process. Wanted to attract more money, subliminals. Why? Because I do not expect things to happen without cause. I am at cause for everything in my life. So if I want a different thing in my life, I have to have the language that supports it. I have to have the images in my mind that support it. I have to have the feelings that support it. If I want to make $100,000, I need to have those thoughts in my head, which means I need to repeat them either with reading books that are related to how to make $100,000, repeating I have $100,000, thinking about where I'm going to put the $100,000, what am I going to do with it, and just repeating those thoughts again and again and again. So I'll listen to subliminals related to that. I'll read books associated with it. I will do imaginal acts related to it to ensure that I have the feeling of having the $100,000. I don't expect it to happen by accident. Like nobody expects like, oops, I just got a six pack. It never happens. It doesn't never happen. Nobody's like, oops. No, it has to be deliberate. It's a deliberate, intentional act using the will. So if you want something in your life, use it. Subliminals work. That's the short of it. But that's how they work. Carla, my SP lives in Japan and I live here in Alabama. Doesn't matter. Space doesn't matter. When I was manifesting my SP, I was in South America. She was in North America. She was in Florida. I was in Brazil. Doesn't matter. Space doesn't matter. If you broadcast a signal, what will happen is the person will have desires. Things will shift in their lives. And he'll decide, you know what, maybe I want to go live in Alabama. Or maybe you decide, oh, I want to go over there and spend time with you. And then you end up moving over, you end up going over there on a trip. And he's like, oh, please stay with me. You can get a job here. Or you start your own business. And then you guys start traveling together. There's a whole host of things that could happen, Carla. It doesn't matter where your SP is. It's either you get your SP wherever he is, or you end up attracting somebody that's closer. I don't know which one it is. It's whatever you want. Whatever you want. If you want your ideal situation, you want your ideal thing, you can have it. I manifested my specific person to come to me from halfway across the world. Circumstances don't matter. Space doesn't matter. If you want it, just imagine that you have it, and you will have it. How to take focus off of 3P. I know it should be simple, but it's almost like an intrusive thought. The reason why you can't stop thinking about 3P is because you have created 3P through your thoughts. The fact that there's a third person exists. Oops. The fact that there's a third person that exists is a reflection of some sort of doubt or uncertainty in your own mind. And once you clear that out, the person just disappears. It's funny because a lot of there are certain types of meditations I do that are like guided meditations that utilize the core of Ho'oponopono to heal the relationship. But one of the things that most people don't understand that makes a lot of sense is that you got to give forgiveness and love to that third person and to your person. Both of them, because the whole reason why that person is with your person is because they want to be loved, and whoever that third person is, they deserve to be loved. They deserve to be touched. They deserve to be held. They deserve to be loved in the way that they want. And we don't attack them or feel angry at them. We understand you just want love, and it is okay. If my specific person happens to be your person, please forgive me. I am sorry for interfering in your relationship with them. Forgive me. I love you. I send love, and I send you off with love to be with the person that you're supposed to be with, if it's her. And if she's my person or he's my person, I'm sorry that you were mistaken and that I brought you into the situation. My doubt manifested you into the situation. I am sorry for the pain that my creation has caused you. Please forgive me. Please forgive me for bringing you into this. I send you off with love to be with your perfect partner, the person that will love you in just the way that you want, who wants to only be with you. I will send you off with love because you deserve it. When you are able to give that kind of love to a third party, a third person, here's the beautiful thing. You either get your person, that person, they disappear and you get your person, or you get somebody even better. Why? Because here's an important thing with karma, the golden rule: do unto others as you would have done unto you. Because, and this is the missing part, because it will be done unto you. Whatever position that you are in, or you put another person in, you will have to be in that position too. So if you try to fight 3P and you try to snatch your SP from their grasp, you will be in the same position as 3P. You'll want to be with somebody, you're happy, you're thankful, you're like, and they will be snatched away from you. Because you would be in the 3P position. You have to go back into that position. Whereas if you are somebody that is giving love, understanding, and you're accepting responsibility, you're saying, hey, I'm sorry for this whole interaction. I want you to go off and be with the person that you love. And if I am the person in the wrong, I apologize. I am sorry for getting in between you two. You deserve to be with the person that you love. And if it's you two, then I am sorry. Please forgive me. I just want to be loved. And this is thank you so much for taking care of me while you did. I'm sorry for getting in between you and your relationship. Please forgive me. I love you. I send you off with love. But if you're my person, I forgive you for what's happening. I forgive you, the third person, for coming in and getting into this, and now you have to leave being hurt. I'm sorry. I send you, please forgive me. I send you off with love to be with the person that you should truly be with. When you do that, you get placed into the same position where the person who happens to be the third person is like, you know what? I give love to everybody in the situation. When you give love and understanding to everybody in the situation, you get love back, which means that you either get your ideal person or they send you off to be with your perfect person because that's how you treated them. It's beautiful. Beautiful. When you do that, it's super powerful. Do you have any specific recommendations for subliminals, like a specific YouTube channel? No, I really don't. It really depends on whatever your situation is. Because certain ones are good, certain ones are like, ooh, don't touch that. I wouldn't mess with any subliminals that change like people's charts, because there are ones that change like your astrological charts. I would not suggest those, but I would suggest good ones. Having a mix of ones that are both related to use the you and the I am phrase. So like, I am this thing, I am this, or ask formations where people are asking questions. But yeah, you have to give me specifics and I can probably make some suggestions. Nestor, what if you have done some imaginal acts and everything went opposite, but now you don't care and SP keeps popping up in your mind and you keep seeing SP? You did imaginal acts and everything happened opposite. That means that you failed the test. If you have things that what happens is when you start manifesting or you start putting out energy in a different way, what happens is old images will come up. And it's basically the world and the system, this old illusion is popping up to basically say, hey, are you serious about this change where you're like, I want my life to be like this? If you do that, if you go back to the old way of thinking, then you failed the test. If you persist in the way that you were thinking before, that means that you passed the test and you're like, yeah, I'm serious about changing. I don't want this to be a problem anymore. So if your SP is coming back into your mind, it's probably because they're trying to manifest you back. That's what's going on there. That's usually what's happening. That was my question, Melissa. How to alter results when they come in favorably? Subliminals. Yeah, subliminals work. Subliminals and do forgiveness exercises. If you pair together forgiveness exercises with subliminals, you're good. Forgiveness exercises, subliminals, and imaginal acts, and you'll be set. The core is just to feel different. When you feel different, it works. Ask your last questions. My phone is about to die, so I gotta hop off. What if you have imaginal acts? Like that. That's what I answered. Yeah, the live will be on replay. It'll automatically post, so you'll have access to the live once I'm done. How do you keep yourself in the energy of having rather than the energy of waiting? Imagining throughout the day. You let go of the image and you hold the feeling. The whole point of the imaginal acts is to train your body to your emotions to sing the note of having the thing. So you want to constantly feel good now. That's your whole goal. Feel good now and practice feeling good now. The more you feel good now and make sure to feel better, and that's your main goal, you get everything that you want. You listen to Abraham Hicks, Bashar, or any of those people, they all tell you, follow your passion, follow your bliss. When you feel the emotion, when you feel excitement, that's your body's representation of you being in alignment. That's all you're supposed to do is just feel good. If you're in the energy of waiting, that means that you're not focusing on enjoying the moment. You're not enjoying yourself. You're not being thankful, because you can't be waiting while being thankful. You got to look around and be like, you know what? I feel good. I feel good. You're not meditating. If you meditate, then you feel blissful for no reason. If you practice that stuff and you meditate and you feel the emotions, all the stuff shows up. Because that's all that can show up. That's all you can see. Because that's all that you feel. How do you finally manifest a relationship with SP when you are both in contact but keep receiving hot and cold behavior? Like, both know we're in love with each other, but I would love to be in a committed relationship. All right, Trexie. Any behavior that you're receiving is a reflection of like your feelings and emotions. So I did mention it earlier in the live. Look for any energy patterns that have played out that are similar to this. Is this an energy pattern that's played out before? Like, have you had hot and cold sort of relationships before? And go back to the relationship with your parents. Is this something that is reflective of the energy pattern with the relationship with your parents? If it is, then you got to heal the relationship pattern with your parent, because if you're truly serious about somebody and you want to be in a committed relationship with them, your mother and father wounds will surface, because you will believe that this person will become a mother or a father in your life. So you gotta go through and like deal with that stuff if it's a serious relationship. Once you end up dealing with any of that trauma or heal that relationship, you should be fine. You shouldn't be manifesting hot and cold behavior, because you'll find it very easy to just focus on what you want. Thoughts on Jesus' new covenant? There is no law. The law is love. Seems to be the line with what you teach. Yes, that falls in line with it perfectly. Yes. I actually study the Aramaic and Hebrew teachings. So Hebrew for the Old Testament and Aramaic for all the other stuff. And when you study the Aramaic for Jesus, it is very different from what is taught in the English. The English is like a crayon drawing compared to a 3D, like a Michelangelo sculpture. Oh my God, when you start studying the Aramaic teachings of Jesus, ooh, all the stuff that you think is like new age, it's not. That's what those people were talking about. All that mystical stuff. No, that's it. That's exactly what he was talking about. Like Ruha. Whenever Jesus referred to the Spirit, the Holy Spirit, the word Spirit comes from spiritos. It was a Greek concept. It didn't exist in Aramaic. What Jesus referred to, or Yeshua, because that was his actual name, Yeshua, with Yeshua or Yeshua, he was referring to Ruha. or the breath, which is feminine, not masculine. When he talked about the spirit, he was telling people to connect with Ruha, the breath of life, the thing that connects all of us. When you connect back with the breath, that brings up your energy and that allows you to connect with everything else and to be in love with everything else. Because the breath is the gift, the breath of life. And to connect with the breath, what do you have to do? Close your eyes and breathe. I wonder what traditions focus on breathing. Oh yeah, meditation. He's telling people to meditate. He's telling people to meditate, to breathe. You want to relax, you want to feel love, you want to feel connected? Breathe. Feel connected to breath and understand this is a breath of life. It's a gift that is given that we freely give out. And when we give our last breath, it's when we leave the body. It is the gift that we have been given that allows us to move, to love, and to connect with the world. And I'm glad that I have the breath because I can share my words with you. So let's take a breath together. I want to say thank you for all of you who are here with me, who've stayed through this live. Those of you who come back, people who are new, people who have already seen my other videos. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. You guys, thank you for everybody who donated on today's stream. Thank you for everybody who commented and liked. I appreciate every last one of you. Thank you so much. I hope you have an absolutely wonderful night and wonderful dreams and a wonderful week. I will be posting a video on Wednesday, as you guys have asked. I want to thank you all for being here. Hydro, Trexis, Carolina, and Sanya, thank you all. I really, truly appreciate every last one of you. Thank you so much. You guys give me the opportunity to have tons of fun doing all this lovely stuff and sharing this and helping you guys with your relationships. I appreciate you guys being open and vulnerable. And I hope today was impactful. I hope you feel energized and ready to go off and do amazing things this week. And definitely watch out for the next video and share what's shifted for you in the comments for this video and the next video that's coming up. Because I'd really be interested in finding out what kind of manifestations start popping up for you guys between now and Wednesday. If you have any questions, you guys, please feel free to shoot me a comment on any of the videos. I'm more than happy to answer them. And watch out for my big announcement I'll have on November 15th. But till then, I'll see you guys on Wednesday.